That guy's all scary looking at the end. And then I pop up and it gets scarier. Hello, my friend. I'm CharLee Simons. Welcome to Do Not Talk, talking about two things you're never supposed to talk about: politics and religion. One decides what life is going to be like here on earth, the other one decides what it's going to be like when we leave it. I am on location, obviously not in my home studio. So things are going to be fun with spotty Wi Fi. And I'm looking forward to your help and support at charliesimons.com. Thank you for sharing these shows. Thank you for liking these shows. If you hit that like button right now, even before I've really done much of anything, that'd be a big help. And on rumble.com/do not talk, or on my Facebook page or YouTube, where we're live right now, hit that like button. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing these shows. I've got a huge treat for you today. I'm really excited about it. I've got three dudes who I admire and respect. And the best part about it is I'm not going to really have to say a lot. I'm just going to sit back and let them go. We've had him on the show, all three of them before. Mike Cook, who is a podcaster, broadcaster, and an extraordinary gentleman with a great mind. I always like to have people on who are smarter than me. And also Vin Dog. He's been on the show before. Excuse me. Got a floaty spider web going on in front of the camera. See, this is crazy. I'll adjust a little bit. Got Nipper in the background, so that's good. Anybody in radio recognizes that, and Vin Dog certainly does. And Jazz McKay is back on the show. Let's get right to it. As a matter of fact, first, Mike Cook, front and center.
Hey,
hello, Bubba.
How you doing?
I'm borderline amazing. Vin Dog.
Brother Charlie.
Hello, my friend. And Jazz McKay.
And it lives on. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Vin Dog, good to see you too.
You too, brother.
I have to say though, Charlie said that my mind is greater than his, so he set a pretty low bar for us all.
Yeah.
I'm just a good old boy from Bakersfield, muddling through and trying to learn things as I go. I've had a few guests on who are deep in the rabbit holes, plural. One is Jazz McKay, the Patriot Street Fighter. The other one that comes to mind is Simone Anderson. She's amazing. And it's so funny. I swear half the show, this is what I'm doing through it.
What?
They say things and disclose things that just blow me away. And I think, man, I'm
not going to disappoint you today, Charlie, and I'll kick things off if you don't mind. And that is that, I am, speaking of disappointed, I'm extremely disappointed in the way things are going. The first 100 days were rather lackluster, in my opinion, and it has remained so. I do appreciate the fact that the border is locked down. Living in Southern California, of course, that doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. In fact, anything that is done means nothing in California, because in California, we have the biggest asshole known to man, Gavin Newsom, running this state, and all these idiotic Democrats in charge of things. Everybody's paying $3.10 the most, $3.10 for gasoline. Some places under $2, and we're still we're damn near $5 a gallon here in California. And have you bought eggs lately? Eggs in the Bay Area. California, $10 a dozen for eggs. Everywhere else, it's like $2-3 for a dozen eggs.
I bought some eggs the other day for $2.90. That was an 18 count.
Oh, check this out, guys! I bought some eggs
at $2.90
count.
Hold on.
You're not in California, are you, Mike? Mike's not in California.
I grew up.
No,
in
he's in Missouri.
I grew up.
Oh, he's in the United States.
And now I live in Freedom Land in Missouri. So California is a great place to be from.
Indeed. And if I can afford
it, what, guys? I got to tell you, I got a flat of eggs, 30 count for $12.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
Where do you find that?
Yeah.
Good old Riverside County.
He's not gonna tell us where his
I pay a little bit more. They're a little bit more. they're a little bit more expensive. They're $4 a carton, but I go across the street to the Mennonite store and I could buy them fresh. I mean, they're like,
you go.
They
That's
were born
what
yesterday.
You buy directly.
Okay, guys. Okay, I'll be truthful. We have family friends that own an egg ranch around here, so that's
that's what I need. Well,
Yeah.
you're just I cannot tell you how but here in California, you can't just go and buy the eggs from the egg farmer because it has to go through all the bureaucratic bull crap. It's like you can't get real raw milk. If you sell somebody raw meat, you got a cow and you milk that cow and you give some milk to your neighbor, they'll charge you with a crime.
Yeah.
They'll put you in jail for giving away raw milk.
Sale. Stop there. It's worth it.
Yeah. Well, they got like egg stands that are self-service out in the country around my neighborhood. So you drive along and they got this set up and you just drive in, you put the little money in the little lockbox thing and take whatever carton eggs.
What's happened here is that California, as of January of this year, designated a cage-free state. Now, what's interesting about the cage-free aspect, it sounds all nice. The little chickens will not have to live in little cages, and they'll be able to flap their little wings and run around to be happy. But it's not true. Have you seen where these chickens are raised? They are in these huge barns, big, huge metal barns. Yeah. There's tens of thousands of them. They can't even walk. They can't fly. They can't go anywhere, can do nothing. And so it hasn't improved anything, but it makes libtards feel better about themselves.
Yep.
It makes them feel better. Right. So that's what we're dealing with.
Out here in central Missouri, there's lots of chicken farms, and that's exactly how they are. They're big chicken farms, big bins. They stick them in there, run them through about every 3 months, turn them into meat.
Everybody thinks that cage-free means they're running free in the meadows.
That's the way they do it.
With wildflowers and everything. And it ain't the case. But listen, I wanted to say something real quick about the fact that I mentioned earlier. I'm disappointed with the way things are going with Doge and everything.
I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, there is.
I think extraordinary. I think he's done amazing things. President Trump.
Yeah, nothing is getting done, but it looks like there may be some movement in the positive way. I want to let everyone know what we need is what's called rescission bills. Right now, what we need in Congress are rescission bills, and a rescission is a process by which Congress can cancel funds, okay, that were originally allotted to various groups, like, let's say, USAID, for instance, that have not been used yet. The funds that were allotted by Congress that haven't been used can only be rescinded through a rescission bill. And right now, just so you know, there are some folks inside Congress that are working towards it, and I wish them a lot of luck, because the only way we're going to stop any of this insanity is through the rescission process. But so far, nothing has happened.
I'll tell you what ticks me off is all these stinking Republicans who are $37 trillion in debt. They've been in office 40 years or however long, and they're complaining that there's debt in Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. I'm like, really? Really? It's not even a budget. They're not even passed. They haven't passed a budget since the Bush administration. It's not even a budget. It's a reconciliation bill. It's not. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. This whole thing is stupid.
I'm so sick of Republicans. I am so sick of Republicans. I could just. And by the way, just so everybody knows, I'm not a Republican. I was only registered a Republican one time, and that was in 1980 to vote for Ronald Reagan. And that was it. Then I went back. I was a libertarian for years, but I've been an independent voter for, 20 some odd years, 25, 30 years. Yeah.
It's because Jazz knows of the two wings of the same bird.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wonder what your hand signal was over there. Now I get it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Now I get it, Ben Dog. Here's I think the best way to put it. 80 million of us are Trump supporters. That doesn't mean 80 million of us are GOP supporters.
No.
I am a Republican.
MAGA, baby, MAGA.
I'm actually a delegate with the California State Republican Party, and things that I've seen just outrage me and make me sick, and I've been quite vocal about it. But the Republican Party in California is infiltrated and by rhinos. owned by
It's
rhinos.
a joke, dude. It's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Same
It
thing
is
here
bad.
in Missouri.
It's a joke.
What about
Missouri,
what's in Missouri?
Missouri's where we get politicians like Roy Blunt. I mean, same thing here in Missouri. And then you got Josh Hawley. You got Josh Hawley, who says a lot of really good things.
Yeah, he does.
You know, he's one of the ones going, "Oh, there's just too much debt in here." Well, why don't y'all pass a bill and do something about the debt?
About it, I know, right?
Jeez.
Yeah, they just complain. They just whine. They take shots at people trying to make change.
No, you're right. Mike is absolutely right. And guys like Josh Hawley, and I do. I mean, I appreciate the guy. Trey Gowdy's another one. I mean, all these dudes that when they're in there, they're talking and they're Pam Bondi. You know, how many? We all joke about this on X and Facebook. How many times what does she do? She goes on Fox News. That's what she does. That's her job.
Which is the traitor organization of the people.
So I have a
when
theory about that.
When do they do anything?
I have a
What's
theory
your theory,
about Pam
Mike?
Bundy. Pam Bundy is a mouthpiece, and she's put up there to be a mouthpiece. Then they put somebody like Ed Martin as deputy AG.
Thank you.
Seen the stuff that he's doing? He's going to town. And some stuff's going to come out of Ed Martin because he's got a chip on his shoulder.
No,
So,
I love Ed Martin. No,
I
you
do
spot
too.
on about that.
I think Pam Bundy's going to go around and do the talking, and everybody's going to focus on her while Ed's in the background just swinging the bat.
So if she's the mouthpiece, Mike, who's she the mouthpiece for? Ed Martin, you think?
Qatar.
No, she's the mouthpiece for the DOJ and supporting Donald Trump's policy and kind of, you know, there's gamemanship being played here, and she's the game player. And Ed Martin is on there. See, now nobody's paying attention to Ed right now.
Red flag warning. Red flag warning.
That's what I think.
Pam Bundy's getting $118,000 a month from Qatar. Did you know that?
What?
I did not know this.
I'll send you that too.
Send it to me. I want to see
that. A lot
that.
of people are not paying attention to what's really happening behind the scenes.
Because we don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I hadn't heard about that, but it's still my point still remains that it's the guys down below her, guys and gals down below her that are doing the work.
Well, it's certainly Bongino and Cash, yeah.
And Bongino and Cash. Everybody picks on Bongino and Cash. You know, my sister called me up. She lives in Stockton, California. She's in law enforcement, and one of my last few relatives living out there. She calls me up. When are they going to do something? When are they going to arrest somebody? When are they going to get this done? I looked at her. She's in law enforcement. She works for the AG, or whatever they call it. And I said, when a gangbanger kills somebody in Stockton, California, and you arrest them all the way to conviction, how long does that take? She says 2 to 5 years. I said, you're wanting them to do it in 100 days.
Yeah.
She goes,
you know
okay,
what?
I see your point.
You know what? The system is so messed up when it comes to that it needs to be revamped when it comes
I agree.
to that. Because if somebody is guilty, knowingly guilty of murder, they should be prosecuted right away to the fullest extent of the law, no questions asked, because this is a bunch of bullball boogery, what we're receiving here as the people. And when I started to talk about this, a lot of people get a little bit upset. They're like, "Oh, you know, this justice system is working." No, it's not. No, it's not. The justice system is absolutely, totally upside down and inside out right now, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
I don't disagree with you, but on the flip side of that, there has to be a process in place to make sure we don't get the wrong guy. But other than that, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
we need to have a quick trial.
Slow down a bit. Mm-hmm. Because, but like I said, you know, like with my sister, you know, if that guy committed the crime, you got him on video or whatever.
Yeah.
Still 2 to 5 years. Still
that's
2 to 5 years.
ridiculous, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but when you apply that to what's going on with the feds, with all this investigation, with all this stuff, I
get what you're saying,
100 days,
and you're absolutely correct, Mike. But the problem is, I think that we have been screwed. We've been bent over and boned up the butt with a pineapple for so freaking long that we as Americans have just about had it up to here, and it's about time we want heads to roll. We want heads to roll.
I've
been telling we want it now because we're Americans and that's the way we are. We don't want to sit around. If you sit around, and what happens when you sit around? People forget. And I'm just hoping to God that Bongino and Cash are right in what they're telling us. And I think you do make a good point, by the way, about Bondi being more of a mouthpiece. We have a sheriff here in Kern County who really is more of a get out there and shake hands and greet people and all that, while the undersheriff is the one that's really in charge. We have a mayor in this town, Karen Go, who has absolutely no power whatsoever. All she does is go around and cut ribbons for opening freeways and all that stuff, while the city manager is really in charge. And that may be the case. And if it is, then fine. But then it's time for us to ignore Pam Bondi and start turning our attention to Kash. I want to see Kash. You know that you saw it. You saw the thing, right, guys, with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino last week. They came out and did an interview where they said that Vince Foster.
Kill yourself either.
Said, I do that all the time when I'm talking about Epstein. I call him Vince Foster. Like, what the hell am I thinking?
It's probably similar cases.
That's his alias. That's his alias.
They put the gun in the wrong hand. They put the gun in the wrong hand after they shot.
Anybody doesn't know, Vince Foster during the Clinton administration killed himself by shooting himself in the back of the head in Fort Marcy Park?
Yes.
And they
Fort Marcy Park, where the body was found.
Hey, wait a minute,
two shots. Don't forget twice. Two shots.
That's right.
Wait a minute, guys.
2 shots.
Don't
forget the phone call. The phone call that went to Jim Guy Tucker. Remember, the phone call went to Jim Guy Tucker. An hour and a half before the body was found, Jim Guy Tucker, the governor of Arkansas, gets a call that Vince Foster killed himself in the parking lot of the White House. That he shot himself in the parking lot of the White House, and his body was found in the back seat of his car. Then his body turns up an hour and a half later at Fort Marcy Park, where he's discovered by a couple of joggers.
Well, it's like that guy here recently, a couple of years ago. I don't remember what his name was, down in Arkansas, I think. He hung himself in a tree and shot him in the chest with a shotgun.
Wow. Hey, can we
Those are some long ass arms.
Remember, we call that an arcicide.
Which one came first? Because both of them would be a challenge.
It's an arcicide, brother.
Well, I'm still not able to get past the boned in the butt with a pineapple. But,
hey, Jazz.
I'm sorry. You invited me.
Hey, Jazz, if you and I did a radio show together, they would kick us off real quick.
I'm telling you right now, I'm doing a radio. Right now, my buddy Jeremy Price does a show every afternoon on KNZR here in Bakersfield, and he's invited me on a few times. Now, I'm a regular. Every Friday, we do Deplorable Fridays, and you should see his face when I say things like that on the air, because he's cool with it, but it just kind of takes him off guard a little bit. And Charlie, you'll appreciate this, and Vin as well, since you're both radio guys. This station that I just started doing this on is an Alpha Media station.
No way.
As you know, Alpha Media just got sold to Connoisseur Broadcasting.
Oh no!
And it's like everybody's like,
yeah.
You know what's going to happen next? Oh my God!
Yeah.
I'm hearing not good things.
No, Connoisseur Media is horrible.
I've never even heard of them.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Mm-hmm.
Connoisseur of what?
I don't know. They had 13 stations, Charlie. Now they have 263. The company had 13 stations. Where did they get funding to buy 213 stations?
George.
Yeah.
George of the Jungle.
USAID.
Yeah, there you go. Oh,
okay,
no.
Let's let's go back to that, Jazz. You said you're disappointed at Trump's first 100 days. I don't understand
I'm disappointed
why.
because
we've already mentioned several people that he appointed who are doing amazing work. They're getting things done. Things are happening.
Well, when it comes to Doge, nothing is getting done. First of all, and I love Elon Musk, but he's not doing it right. We're all media people, and we know you got to get out there. What's that old thing? If you stand in a room by yourself, pissing in your pants in the corner, and it's a room filled with people, nobody knows why you have a smile on your face. You have to tell people what you're doing. Elon needs to get out there every week. For the past 3 months, Elon Musk should have been holding a press conference where he talks about everything they found that week. and just overwhelm the system. What is it? What do we talk about? We talk about Cloward Piven. Okay, the Cloward Piven strategy is what, gentlemen?
It's to overwhelm the system.
Overwhelm the system. This is what Elon should be doing, should have been doing from day one. Coming out every week, calling a press conference and overloading the system with the amount of waste, fraud, and abuse that he and the Doge people have found. But they didn't do that. That was a stupid move. Now, number two, we need rescission bills. We need a rescission bill in order to deactivate all those funds that they have discovered have been misused. That's all.
Part of the thing is,
and what happened to those $5,000 to $20,000 checks that the American people were supposed to get?
Again, that has to be done through Congress.
Nobody's moving, right?
Doge can't stop Congress spending. Doge can't
exactly
change anything.
Mike
is absolutely Congress that does that.
And Congress
what they can do is expose it.
Rescission bills.
What's Congress doing?
That's why the rescission bills are needed, guys.
Doing this?
Sound like The View.
Hey, is Congress doing this? Hey, is Congress doing this? Sitting on their hands?
Yes. Exactly. Republicans are dragging their feet, sitting on their hands, complaining about there's too much debt in the big, beautiful bill, spending $37 trillion. They spent last year, $4 trillion came in. They spent $7.5 trillion. So they spent $3.5 trillion, almost as much as they take in. Too much.
You know,
that's what's wrong with the Republicans.
Do you know how much money Doge actually found and nobody is talking about it? And Congress isn't talking about it because they're all probably compromised on it. They found $153 trillion with a T dollars in generational wealth stolen from our families for generations.
And that's what I was saying. Elon and his cronies, what was the guy's name? Butt Plug or something like that. All those guys should be out there calling a press conference every Friday. It should be a regular thing. Every Friday there's a press conference being called in the offices, in the Doge offices, wherever those are, and explaining exactly what Vin just said. The trillions of dollars. And by the way, where is Mike Johnson or anybody in Congress to explain to the American people that we're not talking about taking Medicaid or Medicare away from American citizens that deserve it? We're not ending it. We're doing away with the waste and fraud that is destroying it and is bankrupting it. Boom.
Mike Johnson was on with
Bank it. Did you bank that, Charlie?
Just a second. Mike Johnson was on CNN yesterday saying exactly what you just said, that we're taking away the fraud, waste, abuse, and from the so Mike Johnson. I don't like Mike Johnson, but I'm going to give him some praise for doing exactly what you just said.
Well, I'm glad that he did that, and I wish more.
Why did he go on CNN?
That. And you know what? I tell you what, it'd be great
because that's where all the old people are.
Buying some advertising on CNN and running a spot that says just that.
There you go. There you go. Because they run advertisements on Fox and on Newsmax.
Exactly, they do. The libtards are everywhere, and that's what should be done.
You guys want to hear something crazy?
What's that?
Yeah.
The buddy of mine was on my show, and he gave me the numbers for the last quarter for CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC.
PMSNBS.
And their total viewership for all three companies for the quarter was 1.5 million people.
You know why? Because no one's watching them.
That's right. That's exactly what he's saying. And it said they in a week, all three of them in a week, a couple weeks ago, had 80,000 views in a week.
Brother, if Rush Limbaugh were still alive today, he would kill them. He had 27 million people listening to his radio show per month.
How many?
I bet you our shows to combine do that.
I'd like to ask a question. How many Americans are exposed to CNN and MSNBC solely by Facebook and X and
Most
YouTube?
of them.
And YouTube.
Most of them.
And The View. Who sits and watches The View?
Not me.
Nobody. The only way that you watch The View is either you're in the audience, which wouldn't you love? Wouldn't it be great to be in the audience and start razzing them? Wouldn't you love to be in the audience and go, hey, Whoopi, you fat ass bitch, shut the fuck up. How about that?
I got a pineapple for you.
Let's do it. Me and Vin and Mike and Charlie. Let's go get tickets to the View. Where do they do that? In L.A. It's in L.A. right?
New York.
It's in New York. Oh hell, we'll travel to New York and we'll do it, and we'll yell and scream at Joey Bear. You're a fat ugly cow. Boo, you suck. And get kicked out.
I'd be like, hey, Karen Johnson. Let's let everybody know your real name. It's not Whoopi. It's Karen Johnson. Oh, and by the way, that weave is overplayed.
Oh my God. I used to know her, right? I did stand up with her in the Bay Area. Charlie knows that.
Do you guys remember this about Whoopi? That they used to promote that she was so great, that she was doing so good because she was one of the only actors, comedians with Down syndrome. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, she's the man.
That's true.
What?
Back when she first started her career, that's why they promoted her.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. That's why it's so great. She's doing so good. Yeah. People with disabilities and stuff. Of course, all that's gone now.
Because it was a lie.
Well, hey, Jazz, you said that they should be doing press conferences, but the press wouldn't show up, and even if they did show up,
no, they would. You know what? Who shows up at the White House now? It's not MSNBC and CNN and all that. We're getting, although they get the attention because they say stupid shit, and then Trump calls them out, and I love it. But Rav, Real America's Voice. One American News, Newsmax, Fox to some extent. There's a ton of alternative news that would show up and would get that news out. Now, granted, the libtards are not going to listen to it. That's not the point. The point is you get that news out to that average guy who works 10 hours a day. And he gets up early in the morning, goes to work when it's dark. He comes home when it's dark. He's there to greet the kids when he walks in and says, "Hey, kids," and has the dinner and spends 15 minutes watching. And everybody streams nowadays, and everybody's got Newsmax or One American News, and he spends 15 minutes watching that before he takes a shower and goes back. Those are the people we got to reach. Preach under the choir to guys like us, and then the libtards. Well, they're not going to watch or pay attention either. But you got to get out there and reach these people through alternative means, and it is. I've been saying this for years. John Hawkins used to be on my radio show, and we would talk about this: how the alternative media, the internet, for instance, needs to be exploited by the right. And finally, it's happening. And things like what Charlie's doing right here, using the power of Rumble and YouTube and whatever else you can. That's how we reach these people. I mean, that's how my son, who was a big, know nothing, I wouldn't say he was a libtard, but he was being influenced by libtardation, right? And he's a central
disease. You helped him get over that disease, right, Jeff?
But he got red pilled all of a sudden by some of these podcasters like Rogan and some of these other guys, Steven Crowder, guys like that. And that's how it happens. And that's how we build this movement. It's all grassroots that way. And if those news outlets, I mean, if Charlie here was at that press conference and was asking questions, you'd get it out. You'd get it out there. I'm telling you, it would work if they would just do it. It's almost too late now, though.
As a matter of fact, Caroline Levitt was even saying that she wanted independent podcasters at the White House.
They were bringing them in. They got a little row off to the right that they're putting them in, and they're rotating them out and stuff like that. And then they kicked out like the Associated Press and stuff who actually sued to get back in.
Suing to try and get back in. It's our right. You can't take. We've got a right to. Oh, screw you. Screw the Associated Press and the UPIs and all that other stuff.
Prior to this administration, who decided was in the White House Press Corps was the White House Press Corps Association. So they decided among themselves, and they wouldn't let anybody else in there.
Right.
But now Donald Trump this time around took that away from them, and you can't take that from us. Yeah, we can. That's
we can.
You know who was one of the main reasons why independent podcasters was led into the White House? It was Barron Trump.
Yep. Absolutely.
You're right. It all goes back to Barron.
Mm-hmm. Barron Trump led the social media stuff during the campaign. He was in charge of that. And I think we're going to hear more from Barron. I think there's a lot That kid's got a lot.
That's a sharp kid right there.
Nephilim.
Yeah, he is.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
He's
Nephilim.
Oh Lord have mercy.
Hey, I had to say it. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry I said it. I just had to say it. It was kind of, a funny to throw right there.
Yeah, it was funny.
He's a tall kid, though, man.
Stirred up with that one.
We have though Doge and Elon in particular has been exposing all these things through his platform X and also on Truth Social.
Yeah, but
Jazz is right, though. There's still so many of us who are still getting our news the way we've always gotten it. We are maybe, instead of turning on CNN or instead of the local news program in the evening, we are finally actually going, I'm going to check out this Newsmax here and getting some more exposure that way. But alternative media, as influential and powerful as it has become, thank God, has not replaced the traditional media that so many people, like the guy you just described, Jazz, is still getting this information from.
Look at the numbers, Charlie. I'm sorry, but the numbers are dropping off. I mean, your network news, NBC, CBS Evening News, all those numbers are in the tank. They're toilet.
Yeah,
They're
10 people watch CBS
now,
Evening News per day, probably.
Nobody watches. You guys mentioned Rogan and those guys. They get 1 million views.
Exactly.
10 million views. Tucker, 10 million views. That they're below. They're just. And by the way, their budgets are comparatively.
I know. Think about that for a minute. Well, yeah, because look, they just. Who was it? Was it CBS? Just said everybody has to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
Everybody
laid people off.
Yeah, they're firing people left and right. No, the traditional network news is dead. It's and this is true of radio too. Radio is dead if they don't start acting correctly and getting associated with this internet thing. You know, this new thing, it's called the interwebs. Maybe we ought to start putting our radio shows up on the interwebs. Who'd have thunk of that? Oh my God!
It don't cost much. Here's another thing that I noticed too. You talk about the media and it's drying up. So they got rid of USAID. They shut that down. They stopped the money from flowing in and out of USAID.
And NPR's gone.
And NPR's gone. But that's not. Did you know that the day after they shut down USAID, Reuters went behind a paywall?
Yes.
Did you all notice that?
Yes.
Other newspapers did the same thing. So because USAID was funding them, and their funding was gone, like, we need some money. We need some money. And here's another thing too that Doge discovered in the USAID, in the payroll services, in the Social Security, in the Medicaid, there was millions and millions and millions of fake accounts that were receiving checks. You know, it's just direct deposited.
Congress.
You're asking how these Congress people, why they don't do what they're doing, because they got accounts in Cayman Island.
Exactly right.
These checks, these payroll checks, these Social Security checks, all these checks just automatically deposited. Now, do you guys follow Data Republica? Do you follow her on
I've heard of her, yeah.
She is phenomenally genius. Okay, she has disabilities like autism and stuff, and she's nonverbal. She doesn't talk. She does sign language, but she writes AI code, and she's working with Doge, developing an AI that will go in and trace every one of these accounts and pull out where they're at and who owns them, pull out all that data behind the scenes.
Hey,
they're already running her software, tracing down stuff within the government, but this stuff's outside the government.
Absolutely. And did you know that Congress isn't even supposed to be a paid position? It's a voluntary job.
Well, it does say in the
that ship has sailed.
It does say in the Constitution that Congress can determine compensation for themselves. It does say that written in the Constitution.
Yeah, but you know, it's ridiculous.
That's not wasn't the vision of the founding fathers. Was you go serve 4 years or 8 years and go home back to your business and live under the laws that you created.
Weren't supposed to have an income tax either.
It's
constitutional,
correct,
but yet we do.
And we still tax. I'm sorry. This is another failure. Okay. I appreciate no tax on tips because I used to work, I used to work for tips. Yeah. I was in a strip club and I was a DJ, and the DJs.
I thought you were on the pole.
TMI.
DJs get 10%, but still I I never reported a dime of it. Okay, it was all bad. I never reported a dime of it. But anyway, right now, dude, I'm on Social Security. I want to see Social Security. I want to see it untaxed.
Well,
they're supposed to, but they haven't done it yet.
That's one of the things that he
actually,
wants.
I think what they did set a limit, right? So it's like $4,000. Is it $4,000?
$4,000
is where it starts.
One of the reasons that they did it that way, if they went to change the rules so there was no tax on tips, it would take a 60-vote threshold to pass through the Senate. But the way that they did it with the 4,000, it takes 51.
That's perfect.
That's one of the reasons why. Then we're counting on Republicans in Congress to create a bill later on.
Oh no.
But the way it works is you got to put some libtard shit into that bill in order to get
Republicans to vote for it.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. They all want to be paid off. The crooks, they're all crooks, everybody. All your elected representatives are crooks.
A den of thieves.
And we knew this. We started this. So don't forget, we started this how many years ago, Charlie? Then, Mike, how many years ago did we start this? We started, it was called the Tea Party movement when we started this. Yep. This is what MAGA is. It's the Tea Party movement. We started in every town, in every little city, and every town in America. We held those rallies on April 15th, remember? And we started this. This is us. This is our movement, and we began it. Trump is just the latest incarnation of the Tea Party movement. MAGA is the Tea Party movement.
So there was a gentleman.
It's the self-governance of us, we the people.
We are self-governed, as it says on the intro of my show.
Thank you, sir.
There was a guy I sat down with, a podcaster, older gentleman, phenomenal guy from North Carolina. He was one of the original starters of the Tea Party, and I cannot think of his name off the top of my head. But anyways, I was in Florida at an event, and he was down there. Anyway, I had dinner with him. Fantastic guy. Mm-hmm. He was telling me how they came in and took over the Tea Party.
They got hijacked.
They got hijacked. They did the same thing with the Christian Coalition, which was a grassroots thing in the 80s. And that's what they attempted to do with MAGA in Trump's first term. The difference is that there was too many of us. The information could be spread around too easily at this point.
I want to tell this story real quick because it was just exactly what Mike is talking about here. When we did our first Tea Party event, it was down at the courthouse here in downtown Bakersfield, right?
I heard about that.
We had 7,000 people turn out. 7,000. We expected about 900. We had 7,000 people turn out. Guess who was there? Anybody want to guess? We're in Bakersfield. You can guess. I'm sure you can think who was there.
Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy was there. And guess who he was with? Man's first name is John, ends in Boehner. Looks like Boner when you write it. John Boner.
John Bomber.
Hey, so I'm the chief organizer of the event.
Going, yay, we agree with you.
Organizer of the event. I get a phone call from Kevin McCarthy on my cell phone before I went on the air that day. The Tea Party started at 3:00. I got off the air at 3:00. So I get a phone call about 1:45 when I start my show, and it's Kevin, and he says, "Hey, we're going to be down there, John Boehner and I, and we want to get up and say a few words." I said, "Sorry, you can't." He said, "What?" And I said, "No." He goes, "Don't you realize this is the Speaker of the House? Don't you realize who we're talking about here, John Boehner? And I'm Kevin." You know who you're talking to, Jess? He started pulling that shit on me. And I've known Kevin for years, since he was a coffee salesman, right? And so Kevin has given me this shit about, don't you know who I am? And I'm sitting there going, I'm sorry, but you're not speaking. You're not going to speak. No elected politicians are allowed to speak at our event. This is only for we the people. And he blew up. You guys should have heard the cussing. And they showed up and they tried to muscle their way on stage, both Boehner and McCarthy. And we would not let them.
Hey, so I'm a guy of props.
Saying, Mike, you got to stand up to those people who come in and try and subjugate and take over your events, your movement. We can't let that happen.
Hey, I'm a guy with props. I'm a guy of props, and this is what I would have did for Kevin McCarthy.
I can't see it. Lower it.
It's a strap.
There you go.
It's a spanking.
Exactly.
Your
getting the belt.
Your state produces some
right
great
here.
ones. You got some great
Your
politicians.
state
in your
produces some great ones, Mike says.
Here.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi's our gift to the world.
I'm
like
thinking
this.
more along the lines of Adam
No
Shifty
doubt.
Shift. The great senator, the junior senator from California who resides in Baltimore, Maryland.
In Maryland, right.
Isn't that hilarious? That is hilarious.
These people in this state are so dumb. How dumb are they? They're so dumb that if Gavin Newsom said, I want to run for a third term, the people of California, he just burned down the Palisades. He just burned it. Guess what? Karen Bass will be reelected mayor of LA. There, I said it.
That's how
Stupid these people are. We allow stupid people to vote. We have to put a stop to it. We have to make a law that says stupid people cannot vote. We need a law. It needs to start right here in California. If you don't know, listen to me. Listen. If you don't know who your congressman is, all stupid people should be precluded from voting. We can give them a little booth, and they can go in and have some crayons, and they can color a little bit, so they feel like they're a part of it. But then they have to leave. Okay, but if you don't know who your congressman is, if you don't know who your two states, your senators are, the two senators from your state, if you don't know who the lieutenant governor is, or the governor, they don't even know who the governor is in the state. You've all seen those videos where the guy Mark Dice goes out to the beaches in San Diego on 4th of July, and he asks these people, "What are we celebrating today?" I don't know. 4th of July. What is it? Well, yeah, that's when we conquered the Martians. I mean, these people in California are morons, and we got to prevent them from voting.
I think
if
the greatest
we just
question
excluded the stupid people, we could win elections in California.
I think the greatest question a man on the street that they ask those those bimbos on the beach there, when was the War of 1812? 1972.
Oh, yes. I remember that, Mike. I remember that.
I've seen those.
I don't know. I don't know.
Jazz is
hey,
right.
You know what I say? Hey, you know what I say we should do with these stupid people?
What? Vin's such a radio guy. Nothing but sound effects and drops.
Drop-ins. Gotta have the drop-ins, dude.
And give us the echo. Give us the echo, Vin.
Yeah.
You know what though? Jazz is right. Jazz is right. We have to admit that. And I've caught so much heat for saying basically that same thing, maybe in a nicer way. And yeah,
you got to say it. You say it in a nice way. They don't. They'll come back at you. You say it in a hard ass way like I do, and they run because they get scared. I scare them.
Hey, you know what, Jess? I think that's why people are scared of you and me on X.
But here's the problem. Yeah, we have a plethora of stupidity in the state of California, as evidenced. The people who get the government they want are the people who show up, and my own fellow Republicans and conservatives aren't freaking showing up for voting. They're not showing up for elections. They're not showing up for primaries. They're not showing up for midterms. And we're losing. And we're going to continue losing because only 40% of those who claim to be Christian are even registered to vote.
No kidding. How about this? Let me ask you this. Who are you talking to? Who do you, I know it's early, but who are you looking at that is running, that's announced that you're going to support for governor?
Ooh, I like the Zaki guy or Daniel Mercury.
I'm a Daniel Mercury guy too, but there's got to be. It doesn't matter. We don't show up for the primary election, so we have a jungle primary in California.
I'm telling you, I'm supporting. Hang on a second. I've got it over here.
He's supporting Jazz McCabe.
Steve Hilton,
I'm supporting Steve Hilton for governor of California.
Steve Hilton. He won't even be on my show. Why?
Why? He's on my show. He's been on my show.
He won't be on my show.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've tried. I've reached out more than once. I've met him in person and talked with him and given him my card and go, I want to have you on. I want everybody to hear what you say.
I'll tell you what. Let me get his. Do you know Frederick from his campaign?
No.
A guy named Frederick. I'll send you some emails. I'll send you an email with some addresses on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
So when are you voting for governor in California this next time around?
26.
Yeah, 26, November 26th. But if we don't show up for the primary in June, we're screwed. We could have two Democrats running for governor.
That's exactly
the jungle primary.
You know what it is, guys? I'm gonna be honest with you. I am sick and tired of these multimillionaire, billionaire dudes that are running for office, and they don't do a lickety split once they get in.
Well, how about
it's a whole lot of talk and a lot of less action.
How about Garvey?
Like
how about Garvey? How about that?
That was your California GOP who did that to us.
Didn't do a damn.
Eric Early would have been amazing.
He goes running off to Europe in the middle of the campaign. Well, I've got a vacation planned. Oh, what?
Well, can I give you? I don't know much about the California politics on that level, but let me give you an example here in California. What happened, or California, here in Missouri. What happens is here's what happens. So Roy Blunt would get on the phone, and he'd talk to Chucky Schumer and say, "Hey, Chucky, I've got some competition this year, and I need you to help me out."
Chuck Toomer.
So I need you to run the pink-haired crazy Satanist against me, so that they'll vote for the lesser of two evils. So they orchestrate this to happen, and it's all they're all working together, right?
They're all crooks,
Republicrats.
And then so you get up there, and now I've been getting involved in the Republican Party locally here. I've been avoiding it for the longest time. I was at an auto auction at an antique auction one time, and this Republican extraordinaire was there, and I told him, I'm not voting for Roy Blunt. You're going to vote for the Democrat? I said, I just leave it blank. I'm no longer ever again voting for the lesser of two evils. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going. You're just going to let them win. I said, what the hell difference does it make? I'd rather have a enemy in front of me than a frenemy behind me.
Exactly.
At least I know what I'm fighting, what I'm getting if I got a Democrat. But but these stupid Republicans that do everything liberal leftist Democrat, except for have an R next to their name. And they're working together in cahoots with each other, because what happens?
I'm not that
Chucky
guy.
does the same thing with him.
I'm telling you what, I would vote for a spotted, long-haired dachshund that had an R after its name before I would vote for anything with a D after its name.
I love Datsuns. I'm not crazy about Nissans, but I love the Datsuns. I remember the Datsuns, the 280Z. The 280Z.
No,
but since they became they're just not as good.
Datsun pickup truck.
I know they were great. The Datsun pickups.
Hey, so wait
Jazz.
a minute,
okay,
guys.
Jazz. I'm talking about a canine, not an automobile.
You're talking about a wiener dog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can't drive them.
Hey, we got a lot of those in San Francisco.
I love the wiener dog.
Got wiener dog.
I love it.
But the point is, I happen to agree.
I got you.
With that gentleman you were talking to, Mike, I happen to agree with him. Lesser of two evils, I'm going to vote for a Republican, and maybe I'm just blind.
I'm not
following
for
the party.
I'm
I've been exactly.
Hey, I'm with Mike. I'm with Mike on this one. Look,
I can't stand before my God at the end of time and say, God say to me, why did you vote for that evil Roy Blunt all those years? I can't do it. I can't.
No.
I'm
totally in agreement. I could not vote for either Bush. I voted for the Libertarian candidate for president. I supported Pat Buchanan in his run. And maybe I was wrong about some of the people that I supported, but the God's honest truth, I could not get behind either one of those Bush characters.
Amen, brother.
I'm no fucking way I was going to vote for George or George Jr.
I did it this last cycle because we had a governor race. We had 4 or 5 excellent candidates for government. A couple of them had good traction, but the Republican Party went for the Republican choice, which I didn't vote. It's Keogh is his name. I didn't vote for him. I'd left it blank. I didn't vote for him. I wasn't going to do it.
You know, guys, did you guys know? I know you probably know this, Mike. And you probably know this too, Jazz, since you talked about the bushwhackers.
Yeah.
Did you know that Barack Saddam Hussein Obama is related to the Bush family through his mom's blood lineage?
Yep, there's some connection there.
Hey, so when W left office, he just had somebody else taking care of the family business.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but I do know that all these people, until Trump came along, were basically being, look, you've all seen the video, right? you've seen the video of Chuck Schumer as a guest on with what's her name, Mad Cow, Rachel Mancow. All right, she's on there. She's got this article about intelligence, right? And she brings it up that that Trump, this is actually before he was inaugurated, how he was not meeting with the intelligence agencies. And Schumer sat there with that dumbfounded look on his face. CharLee, if you've got this video, you need to play it. With that dumbfounded look on his face, and you see terror in his eyes. And I haven't seen terror like that since Elon Musk was on with Joe Rogan, and he said, "They'll if I tell you what we found, they'll kill me." And he was serious. Yes, when Chuck Schumer said that intelligence, he's talking about CIA, NSA, all that. Yeah. He said intelligence has 9 ways from Sunday to get even with you. That's right. Who's been running everything. It's all been run by the huge intelligence agencies and the people that pay them, which is your military industrial complex. Thank you so much for Eisenhower attempting to warn us about that. But as I sit here at my desk, and I don't know if this happens to you guys, my desk is quite cluttered. I wish I could show you, but it's more cluttered even than the stuff behind me. And I found, I'm looking and laying on my desk is that
40?
No, it's 45. No, that's a 45. That's a 45. Just sitting there. And it reminded me of what Linda says in the chat, talking about CharLee's point about Christians not getting out and voting in California. And she brings up the nearly 4 million gun owners, people that shoot these things. They
don't vote.
And they do not vote.
That's crazy.
Amen to that, Linda.
You don't have that problem in Missouri.
No, you don't.
That's crazy.
No, the gun voters, they not only do they vote, they carry everywhere all the time. You know, they go up in California or some other liberal state and they shoot up a Walmart or a grocery store or a mall or something. If that happens in Missouri and I'm there, I'm laying flat on the ground. Because you're going to hear Agbu snack bar, and then the return bar is going to sound like World War
II. The return fire is coming from Vin.
Mike, hold on.
Vin is the one carrying the gun.
Yeah. Because as a matter of fact, if somebody says that, man, I'm going to put them down. They're going out.
The problem is here in Central Missouri is there'll be 600 people in a store and 700 of them have guns, and they've been waiting for this opportunity to happen, and there's going to be bullets going everywhere, and I'm just going to hit the ground because the return fire. You remember that video that CNN played and said it was from an attack overseas somewhere? I don't remember. Turned out to be this live fire group out in Tennessee. Yeah. That's what it's going to look like at the Walmart in Stellia, Missouri if somebody tries to shoot the place up. It's going to be crazy.
That's Bakersfield. Look, that's Kern County. We've got over, I think the last count was 17,000 CCWs out of Kern County. LA has 5.
Hey, and that whole CCW thing is a crock to me.
Yeah.
It's a crock.
Well, it's the sheriff department that runs that. So if that's and if you have a whole you mentioned Los Angeles, Jazz,
Los Angeles.
We got exactly right. We got a whole lot of talk about stupid voters and you said Karen Bass will be reelected.
She'll be reelected. You know she will. CharLee, we're Californians and we know how stupid these people are.
Well, those same kind of people
and burn down their house and they will vote for her again because she's a Democrat and she cares.
Those same kind of people are the ones who are voting for sheriffs.
I know.
Who are not constitutional sheriffs, and that's why Los Angeles has so few concealed carry permits ever handed out.
You know, the thing is,
we're not even Missouri.
San Francisco is the same way.
We're not even supposed to have that in the California state constitution.
I know.
And we're supposed to be able to open and carry without the government getting involved.
In Missouri, you have concealed carry, you have constitutional carry. You can conceal. I do it every single day. Without a permit, without a process, as long as you're not as long as you can legally carry or own a firearm, you can carry whatever you got. Doesn't matter if it's a bazooka. You can carry whatever you got. You can conceal it. You can do whatever. And then we have the castle doctrine. The castle is any place you're at.
Yes.
And our castle doctrine says that you can use deadly force to protect life or property, even if it's your neighbor's life or property.
Hey, like that guy did in Texas when he shot those teenagers for breaking into his neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was a
legal
case just recently in St. Louis, as a matter of fact, Mike, and I watched it last night. You guys ever watch this show, Accused? Am I Guilty or Innocent? It's on A&E. And this guy got charged. He shot this dude. It was he was from California, and his ex-wife was living back in St. Louis, Missouri, and with his son. So he goes to visit the son, and the sister of the ex-wife gets a phone call from the ex-wife's ex-boyfriend, who says, "I know that Jason is in town, and I'm going to go kill him." Right? He said, "I'm going to go. That house is my house. My name is on it. All my property is there. She never evicted me." They'd been broke up for about a month or two. And he said, "I'm going to go and I'm going to kill them both." And sure enough, a half an hour later, he's breaking in, walking in the door. And Jason, the guy, the ex-husband, gets a phone call from his ex-wife. She's got a gun on this guy. She's holding a Glock on this dude and telling him to leave. And he says, "Fuck you. Go ahead. Shoot me if you want to." She runs downstairs just as the ex-husband comes in. He takes the gun, tells the guy to leave 3 times. He doesn't do it. He lunges toward the guy, shoots him in the leg. Did not kill him. But guess what he's facing? They charged him with a felony assault and some other felony, facing 2 life sentences.
Felony assault with a deadly weapon is murder 1 in Missouri.
But he didn't kill the guy. But he gets the same treatment as if he had. And luckily was found not
municipalities, guilty. The liberal municipalities. See, we got some of the crazy wackos like you guys got in California, but they're isolated in St. Louis and Kansas City.
Exactly right.
In those municipalities, they have local laws, which there's some stuff going on in the trying to fight that, because the state law is constitutional carry. Out here, I asked my sheriff one time. I said, "So what does your castle mean?" He says, "Wherever you are at is your castle. And the only thing you have to do is say that you are in fear of your life." And then he said, "And if you have to do it, please kill him." That's what the sheriff told me.
And that's exactly the defense that they used. They used the castle doctrine defense, and thank God he was acquitted of these charges. Right. But still, I mean, the sheriff in that town did not even talk to the sister. He was not interested in anything that the sister had to say about the fact that this guy had called her and told her, "I'm going over there to kill him." She called her sister, who this guy's ex-wife, says, Chuck or whatever his name is, he's coming over to kill you. Be aware of that. So that's why she had the gun when he broke in. And he was live feeding everything on his phone.
Yeah.
He was doing it live on Facebook as he broke into the house. And as he threatened to kill these people, but they still charged the dude.
Well, that like I said, if in those areas, do you remember it's the same area, St. Louis? Do you remember the Black Lives Matters protest in St. Louis?
Yeah.
Where they went into this higher end area, they busted down the gates, and he went onto this guy's property, and they were screaming.
And he had the AR. His wife had that.
Yeah, and they had no idea how to use their guns. In fact, the pistol was inoperable.
Mm-hmm.
They got charged with a bunch of crimes.
Oh, man,
for brandishing the gun and all this stuff. Do you know who it was that was screaming at him? Standing there in his property, screaming, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to rape your wife. I'm going to burn your house down." Do you know who that was?
No.
Cory Bush.
That's right.
Former congressman from St. Louis, Missouri, Cory Bush, before she became Cory Bush.
That's right. I forgot about that. I read that somewhere a couple of years ago.
They charged him with a bunch of charges for legally carrying a weapon on his own property.
On his own property.
And in Missouri, that all went away. But and the prosecutor, I can't remember her name, that was prosecuting him, Cory Bush's buddy, was the one that took down Governor Greitens with a whole bunch of scandalous stuff, and he ran out of money. And then the Missouri Congress, by the way, the Republicans in Missouri hated Greitens. They passed a law, said he couldn't use government money to defend himself, and he had to resign. He stepped down, and that's when we got Governor Parsons. And Governor Parsons was Governor Parsons. There wasn't a fence that he didn't like to walk on. I mean, that guy would not make a decision.
Our chat room is open right now. If you comment, if you're watching on Facebook Live right now, you can just in your comments, it will show up and we'll be able to see it. Thank you, Linda Bagno, for also throwing a couple great things out there. And you can join us if you want to, if you got a question. Or
sorry, guys, I had to get rid of some Democrats.
Another TMI. On my show, Rush Limbaugh, he used to say Barbra Streisand for BS.
Yes.
And I've took his lead, but I changed it. It's Bernie Sanders now.
Yeah, that's a lot of Bernie Sanders.
Bernie
There you
Sanders.
go.
Did you guys know that I board up for Rush Limbaugh?
I did not know that.
Yes, I board up for his national show for 15 times in my radio career. I was the guy they called when one of his main producers would take off.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it is cool.
Yeah,
that's a good thing to have on your resume.
And by the way, hold on.
It's an earthquake in California, apparently, where Vin lives.
Got an autographed book from him.
Oh, sweet, buddy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It was Rush Limbaugh who, in his book, his very first book, who wrote so honestly and openly about abortion in such a way that changed my life forever. He emboldened me to speak out against what I thought and felt was just this horrific atrocity that was happening to the innocents.
Yeah.
Your body, your choice. Well, that's not your body. That's not your body. It might be in your body, but it's not your body. And at a Charlie Kirk event just recently, in San Francisco, I was at Charlie Kirk's event, and he was there with Riley Gaines. And somebody gets up there and is talking about how it doesn't matter. It's not a viable human, because if you just leave it after it's born, it'll just die. And so it doesn't matter. It's not a viable human because it can't protect itself. And I'm like, that is truly the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Definition.
So yeah. I was right up towards the front, and I said, "Do you feel the same way about puppies?"
I tell you what,
go take an eagle. What happened to that?
Go take an eagle's egg out of an eagle's nest and see what happens.
It's insane. What a completely dumbass argument. We on the right have been scared to death, including how many Republican candidates go, well, I do support a woman's right to choose. To choose what? What are you supporting the choice of?
Hey, and don't you love
put a quarter between their knees?
Yeah, how about that? Let's start there.
And don't you love it when people says, well, I'm pro-choice. Well, anybody can be pro-choice. Do you choose life or do you choose death? Which one do you choose, you idiot?
Yeah. Well,
jeez, man.
Rush Limbaugh wrote about that when nobody else would. Nobody else would talk about it even. And he did the same thing on his radio show.
And what you're talking about there really is what opened my eyes. I was a pro-choice guy. I didn't want it for myself. I was just feeding myself a line of bullshit, right? Because I was one of those guys, I was a single guy in those days. 2 times in my life, girlfriend got pregnant, and I paid for the abortion. And I carry that, and I own up to it. And I believe, at least I hope, and I pray that the Lord forgives me for that, because I think that is I'm as guilty of murder as a gangbanger putting a hit out on somebody.
Well, I got to tell you this. I was born the year that Roe v. Wade was started in 1973. Yeah. Doctor tells my mom that it wouldn't be a good idea for her to have me. My mom, thank God, told the doctor to go and shove it.
A pineapple.
The pineapple.
The pineapple. Put the pineapple where the sun don't shine, buddy. Yeah. So yeah, I do take that personal. So yeah, I'm with you.
And I eventually came around on this issue, and it was a lot of Rush. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you this. The other day, I put up a post. People took it the wrong way and started reacting, answering the question, but it wasn't really a question. It was a statement. My question/statement was, what celebrity death upset you the most will make no difference in your life. I added that caveat to the end of the, It's one of those dumb poll questions people put up.
Yes.
And I said, I added that to it. Will have no effect on your life. And somebody, and then people started, Bob Ross or Jerry Garcia or whoever, right? And one person put up Rush Limbaugh, and I had to step in. I didn't answer any of the other people, but that one I answered. That comment I answered, and I said, no, Rush Limbaugh was not a celebrity. He was a family member. Rush Limbaugh was somebody different from any other quote unquote media person that you could know. I felt like every day that I spent with Rush, and I did. I spent 3 hours a day with Rush Limbaugh every day for 30 some odd years. And to me, Rush Limbaugh was my big brother.
Yeah.
And I get teared up thinking about it. Because Rush Limbaugh was family. I spent more time with Rush Limbaugh every single day than I spent in those years with my own mother. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even close. With my sister, with my best friends, I spent more time sitting at either my desk or outside having a cigarette or at work, wherever, in my car. I spent more time with Rush Limbaugh than any other human being on earth for those years that he was with us. That man was my brother. I felt like when he died, it was like losing a family member. Yeah. I didn't lose a guy that I listened to on the radio. I didn't lose a talk show host. I lost a big brother, man. That's family. And I'm not the only one I know that feels that way.
Amen.
No, I agree with you.
Yes, he was. I'm with you. I'm with you, brother.
He was a large. One of the things that he used to say was, it's about being a celebrity or whatever. Is the media didn't make him. No. He made him. And they fought him every step of the way. That's why they couldn't ever take him out.
And he changed.
I apply that to so many people in the media today that are made by the media.
Yeah.
And when they're done with them, they spit them out and they're gone and they're has-beens.
And that in what you just said is so true, except for one thing. I think the audience made him more than he did. But what he did when the media reacted to him was unlike anything anybody else ever did. All the people that used to do what he did, like Joe Pine or Wally George or anybody like that who did the outrageous conservative talk guy, they got destroyed. But Rush never did, and he fought them every step of the way. Any politician that came out, spoke out against him, did he cower? Did he run away?
No.
Hell no. The greatest lesson that Rush taught me and I'm not going to say this as a radio talk show host. The greatest lesson he taught me as a human being was not to back down.
And don't settle for Barbra Streisand.
And do not settle for the Barbra Streisand.
Bernie Sanders either.
Yeah.
Do not take it. Remember, the greatest thing that he ever did in this deal was when he called that chick a slut. I don't even know her fucking name, right? He calls her a slut, and I know what he was saying. I got it. He was saying that because she says she can't afford to pay for the condoms, that the college had to pay for her condoms, and they're in a 50-pack. And that wasn't enough for her. She must have been screwing everybody. So I got the joke. And then what happens? Nancy Pelosi takes that chick whose name I can't remember. She was kind of cute with short hair. And brunette chick, takes her with her, and she speaks against Rush Limbaugh in Congress. In Congress, she speaks against Rush. All of a sudden, a letter appears with all these people's signature, all these senators and congressmen, and the president, Barack Obama, signing this letter demanding Rush be fired. And they sent it to his network or Premier, right? Premier Broadcasting. And he took that, and Premier gave the letter to Rush. And what did Rush do with that letter?
Ran it on the air.
He sold it.
He sold it on eBay.
So yes.
No, that's right. No, wait.
He
did he took bids, didn't he?
Yes.
And he gave the money to charity.
And he gave the money to charity.
And he gave the money to the sheriff's fund. and
I
one of his
remember
charities,
that.
and he did not stand down. And the company he worked, now he's got a little something that we never had in radio. He had a company that stood behind him, but still, he taught me every time he did that shit. He taught me, do not back down, never give up. You are always, if you're right, if you know you're right, stand your. You know, it's like we're talking about in that couple in St. Louis. They stood their ground.
Yep.
Stand your ground.
He ran for Congress, run for Senate. I don't remember which. And he came out to my area and spoke, and I met him, and I sat down with him at a table. I was the MC for the night, and we sat down and we talked. It's a beautiful guy, a beautiful wife, just decent human beings. He was an attorney, but I won't hold that against him.
Well, no, but there was more to it than that, Mike. Remember, he was an attorney who defended liberals.
Yeah,
and he worked for the Democrat Party. Yeah, and when he ran for office, he ran as a Republican.
He absolutely did.
The libtards turned him in. See, that's an amazing thing, too, because the libtards can do it. It is possible. It won't happen in California, but it happened there in Missouri for him anyway. But but it won't happen here, I'm afraid. I don't think. But they can push the envelope so far that they can take a guy who's a multimillionaire, which he was, and who worked with the Democrat Party for 50 years, 40 years, however long it was, and he turns Republican and runs for office because of what happened to him.
And you know one thing about liberals, man, I got to tell you about the Democrat Party. These numbskulls, they remind me of Raider fans. They eat their own from within.
Oh, brother.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And it's one big happy ship they portray, but it's not. Did you see that David Hogg is promoting Jasmine Crockett for leader of the Democrat Party?
Oh, Lord help us.
That's another way. Have you guys ever researched her?
Yeah, I was about to say, she's from St. Louis.
She's a very, very privileged young woman.
She grew up in the richest neighborhood in St. Louis, near where those folks were from.
Well, here's the thing, Mike. Remember, she went to a private school her entire life.
Expensive private school in St. Louis.
And her family's super wealthy.
No, her family is not, actually. Her family is not super wealthy. That's what's weird. If you go look into it, her father was a postman. Her mother worked at, like, I don't know, some department store. They were not wealthy, but somebody paid for her education. We don't know who. There's no record of that.
Went down to Houston, got her law degree, and became an ambulance chasing attorney down there.
But she does not talk this way. She does not talk that way.
No, she speaks properly, actually.
Yes, she does. And that's an act that she's putting on.
Been in the ghetto.
She's never been a ghetto person, even when her parents, who lived in St. Louis, now they lived in a black neighborhood, but it was not a ghetto. It was a middle-class neighborhood.
It was not middle-class, the neighborhood they lived in. They lived in one of the richest zip codes in the state.
Not her parents. She did. We don't know where she lived. The school that she went to, listen, I researched this. I'm telling you, it's true. Go and look it up. The school that she went to, elementary school through high school, did not have dorms.
No kidding.
So she stayed somewhere because she was within a driving distance of that school. Her parents lived 45 minutes, an hour away.
There's a preacher involved here, a large black megachurch preacher that the internet is saying is her dad. So is that who she was living with? That was not her dad.
That could be. It could be, but her dad was a postman. Her
It
dad was
a lot like Obama. It sounds like Barry Soetoro.
How's Barry?
Where did he come from? I mean, he was a community organizer. He was a junior senator.
Qatar.
Where did he come from? What did he know? How did anybody even know who he was? And next thing you know, he's president of the United States.
That's exactly right.
His uncle was George Sharif, a.k.a. George H.W. Bush.
It's baffling to me, and they groom these kind of people you're talking about, Jazz, and they bring them up through the ranks, and next thing you know, it's like, and there's all kinds of, you don't know anything about their background.
You're absolutely right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they mold them and turn them into the characters that they need.
Guys.
Well, so what we're saying here,
power and control.
Jasmine Crockett was created,
right?
And the reason that they created her to be the hood rat is because they thought Donald Trump, New York, aggressive, in your face. So we need somebody.
Right. Exactly right. There you go, Mike.
In your face. What they don't realize is that's not what made Donald Trump great.
No.
That's a quirk of his personality, but that's not what made him great.
No.
And she's trying to fill a role, and it comes off as inauthentic anyways. Just like AOC, she's the Latino from the Bronx.
Latina.
Latina.
Latinx.
You know what she looks like?
Latinx.
Fills
Ramirez.
a role. She fills a role. So it's crazy how they do this.
She looks like the Night Stalker when you cut her hair. All right. So, guys, all right.
She's got nice tits.
Every president,
TMI.
every single president, right, before Donald Trump is a descendant of slave owners.
Descendant of who? What?
Descendant of slave owners, except for Trump's family. Trump's family descendants never owned slaves. They were actually against it.
They were Irish.
Yeah.
Grant never owned slaves.
Well, I'm saying after Ulysses. I'm talking about after Ulysses S. Grant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because after Ulysses S. Grant, the United States became a corporation.
Yeah.
See,
I just found that out recently talking with, again, Scott McKay, the Patriot Street Fighter, and he disclosed that to me. And I'm like, son of a gun.
And see, check this out. That is why I wished that Donald Trump would have came out and said that he was the 19th president of the United States. So it would have taken the United States off of the corporate ladder, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. How pissed would people be if they actually knew all of that? Do you think that it'd have any effect on them, or would they be go, oh, well,
wouldn't know it. You can tell them, you can educate them, and they would never know it. Know it is like you absorb it and accept it. They will hear it. Okay. It's like listening to music and really hearing music. You know, you can listen to Pink Floyd, but unless you are hearing it, you don't know the magnitude of the music. So yeah, you can tell them all you want, and you can present all the evidence. Look, and all you guys know this because you got it in Missouri, and we got it in California, Sacramento, here in Bakersfield. How many people in this day and age here on 5/27/25 are still wearing a mask?
A lot.
I saw somebody walking their dog yesterday wearing a mask. I'm like, are you out of your mind?
I saw somebody putting a mask on the dog.
I know a lady who has severe,
and they're lining up to get their 5th booster shot.
Yeah.
We know now that it is suicide, that it will kill you. It will cause heart defects in you that will kill you. And they're still doing it.
Scramble your DNA.
Hey, check this out.
They're still doing it.
It's so bad that you still see people driving by themselves in cars with a face diaper on.
I know a gal has severe social disorders, and she wears a mask, but it has nothing to do with the Rona.
Yeah, I got it.
She's got a social disorder. So if you have a social disorder, or you got cancer and you're on chemo and something,
cancer patients are
wearing a mask. But everybody else, take the stupid mask off.
Yeah.
So that's an answer to your question, Charlie.
Is that not posturing, though? Is that not posturing? Ultimately, is that what they're doing?
Could be. I think it used to be. I think now they're just grasping for straws because they were so convinced that it was true that now they don't want to admit they were wrong.
That's terrible.
Mark Twain put it perfectly. Mark Twain wrote that it's easier to fool people than it is to convince them that they have been fooled.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's brilliant.
Also, the people that are deep, and I got relatives in California who are really into this, and they've written me letters telling me how wrong I am. It's all kinds of stuff, and they wear this stuff because they do this. They act this way. One of them was just talking about getting their kids booster shots. because they live in a spirit of fear, and it is spiritual. It is a spirit of fear.
Scared.
Yeah, they walk around in fear.
No, you're right.
No wonder why Kermit was the oddball in the Muppets, because he was the conservative that didn't fear anything.
That's right.
During the whole shutdown, I was at a Best Buy, and I was not wearing a mask. I would refuse to wear a mask anywhere. And if they told me I had to leave, I would ask for the management, and I'd say, I'd confront them. But I'm in this Best Buy, and this woman wearing the mask sees me in the same aisle as her, and I get one of these deer in headlights, and she runs around to the other side. And everywhere I went, even if she was looking for something in the same area, it was that reaction. She was running away from me.
How about
the fear in her eyes? The fear in her eyes, though, gentlemen, was genuine.
Oh, sure it was. I was in a Vaughn's one time, and I'm walking through Vaughn's, my face, and I didn't wear the mask. They required it. I wore it to get past the Nazi, the mask Nazi at the front door, and then I took it off. And I'm walking through the store, and I see this guy. And you know how when you see the same people, because you're passing each other in the aisle, and then you go around the corner, they go around. Okay, Vin, you know about that, right? You see this person. All right, so I see this couple, and the guy is wearing a mask, so is she, and he looks at me, go by. So we come around the corner to the next aisle, and we pass each other again. This time he's looking at me, and as he's passing, he pulls his mask down to his chin. Now we go around the next aisle, we come back, he's got his mask off.
Good.
That's how it works. Hey, you have to let them know that it's okay.
Hey, CharLee, remember when I told you what happened to me in Costco?
Remind me.
When I went into the Costco a few years ago, this was actually doing, that 4 year, that thing that's still going on. The lady tells me, as Jazz calls her, the mask Nazi. Yeah. So she tells me, sir, you need to put on a mask. Oh, really? Okay. Nope, I'm not putting on a mask. And she goes, sir, you need to put on a mask. I said, no, you're violating my rights under the ADA and the HIPAA law. Would you like me to recite it for you? She goes, well, this is Costco. I said, well, guess what? Costco is on American soil. So once again, would you like me to recite the HIPAA law and the ADA to you? Her manager looks at her and just let him go. Just let him go.
Yeah. I have a medical condition. What medical condition? None of your business.
You can't ask. You cannot legally ask.
Here's a story about California. So I'm at the Walmart market store, and they had the mask Nazi outside there, and she's making me. And they're handing out masks at this point.
Right, I remember
Chinese ones.
She hands me a mask, and I
made
put
in
it
China, by the way.
There's a girl behind me, young woman. She says, "No, I'm not going to wear a mask." She says, "No, you got to." I'm turning around watching, right? And she says, "No, I'm not going to wear a mask." She said, "Well, you have to." And she said, "Well, I'm certainly not going to take one from you." She takes off her shirt, wrapped her shirt around her face, and walks inside topless. And I mean, I told her, I walked, because we ended up in the same checkout. And I walked up to her and I said, I want to thank you, because
thank you for those.
That is the best. I've never. I like titty protests. It's like you ever seen the PETA girls that say, I'd rather go naked than wear fur, and they show up in public with a sign like this, but they're naked. I'm in favor of those protests.
I'm not
in favor of those
girls. Just ain't worth the trouble. But
this one was.
How come it's always the people who are the least, who are the ones who should never take their shirts off in public?
This
always seem to be the first ones to do it.
This one definitely should have. It was that good.
Really?
These were. Yeah.
I can't go with this one.
I took a picture of her. I'll have to send it to you guys.
You get where I'm going with that, right, Mike? I can't go with that.
Yeah.
It was the best test against masks I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's not, then if they said something about it, she could say that she was a he, him.
That's
There you
right.
go.
Or use them.
But I'm a man. That's right.
just
But I'm a
man
man. You
Those are
can't
just
tell
man
me.
She
boobs.
didn't know what to do. She's in and she
Man
bought her
boobs.
stuff and she's out and she made a statement and it was epic. It was epic.
She made a statement to the press.
No,
there
she
already?
made a statement. She stood her ground. She was not
Oh,
going
I
to
got
take her mask.
Okay.
She wrapped her own T-shirt around her face. She covered her face. She did everything they wanted her to do. What were they going to do next? What was Walmart going to do? What are they going to do? Tell her to put the T-shirt back on? They didn't
No
do
shirt,
What
no
you should've done-
shoes,
They
no
didn't do a
problem.
What
She
she should have
walked
done
through-
is stormed in there and grabbed $900 worth of stuff and ran out.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, she
She
ran
went in
past
there,
the Afghan
she stood in
grabbed
line.
them.
She paid for everything, and she was a real trooper.
Had
We
several
need more
troopers.
women.
Hey,
We need
Oh,
more
Lord help us.
that in the movement. We need
We
more
need
women
more women like that.
to do
Lord
that.
help us. Lord help us.
I'm in
Speaking
favor
of
of the
women-
titty protest.
I
really-
Charlie,
I-
you need to look up on your computer. Look up the CMC. Or what is it? SEMA. It's the Emergency Management for St.
Oh,
Louis
right.
director. Look that chick up and put her on the screen. Pat, whatever. This is the one that dropped that they were having a meeting somewhere and they couldn't get to the button to sound the alarm when the tornado came through the north side of St.
Oh.
Louis.
That yeah. Oh my God.
See if you can
Is that
pull
a
picture up.
chick?
That's a
Is that a chick?
That's a chick.
No.
Sarah
No,
is her
that's
name.
that's that dude from
From Saturday Night Live, Pat.
Yeah.
no, that's a dude. That's not even a Pat. That's a dude. I saw that dude.
That's
Well,
us,
as Rick
dude.
Dees would say, good luck to you.
You know who that dude looked like? That dude looked like the dudes the fire chief in LA. You seen that
Yeah.
dude?
Oh, that was a kick.
Oh, she
That
looked
was
just like
hilarious.
the fire chief in
Can
LA.
you pull that one up.
Right. No, not where I am now.
Oh,
If I was
well.
at home in my studio, I could, but not where I am now.
And I
But,
you know,
hey,
I don't know, maybe
This show
Yeah.
has gone
just,
off the
just
rails.
if
That
you-
was
you
the
can
same
bring it
director
up.
for St. Louis.
Okay, bring it up.
that was the St. Louis. What was it? It wasn't FEMA.
See,
And
it's EPE,
Hit
EMA.
share- hit share screen.
Just put in
CEMA.
a tornado, St. Louis tornado. That
Yeah.
should get it for you. And then you'll
If you
find
can
her. Have you seen
bring it
her,
up-
Charlie?
I have not. No.
That's a dude.
but
It's a
if
dude.
you can
It's
share
not,
the
it's a
screen.
girl.
Mike,
It's
if you can share the screen, I'll be able to bring it
Hey,
on.
Jennifer Aniston's a dude too.
I've heard that. Simone Anderson said that same thing. I'm like, what?
It's true, bro.
No,
It's true.
come
It's true,
on.
bro. It's
What?
true. It's true.
Well,
Jennifer
all the
Aniston?
Hollywood starlets that haven't had children. are
They're all
dudes.
dudes.
They're
You think
dudes.
so? You think
Absolutely.
so?
Yes. Yes.
That NBA, that WNBA chick that went to Russia, that's a
Brittany
dude.
Griner. That's a dude.
Brittany
Oh,
Griner.
Griner,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a
Oh,
dude.
definitely a dude.
That's
Yeah.
I've seen
Definitely
the
a
dude.
dude.
Bro.
And there's no scars underneath there. There's no scars there.
Bro.
She didn't have them removed.
Her wife is pregnant.
Yeah, that's a dude.
Or
Oh,
We
what?
need to get the Russians. The Russians need to tell the truth.
Yeah.
They know.
No, they
They
do
saw,
know.
they saw her tallywhacker. They know. They had to.
Hey, bro. Let me
They
tell
saw
you, they're
her
dudes in
tallywhacker.
Hollywood, man. They are dudes.
You know. They saw it. You know they did.
You're right. I'm not arguing with that one.
Because what happens? All you guys know when you get arrested and you're in county, and what happens? They strip you down and they hose you off. What happens when you go to county? You got to strip down, hold your arms up like this. You guys have been there. Come on. Am I the only one?
I think you're the only one.
Apparently you are the only one.
Oh, is my
Although-
face red?
I was actually at a live broadcast in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I got. Have I ever told you the story about when I got pulled over? My producer was driving, and I got in a little physical altercation with a couple of sheriff's deputies. Just getting
They'll
out.
do it every
trying to-
time.
Oh.
That's
And I wound up in jail.
That's my Charlie right
but
there.
no, they didn't do any hosing down. They didn't do any of that.
Oh,
though,
you were
but-
just in and out. But see, she spent
No, I
time.
wasn't in and out.
She spent like what, 3 months in there?
Yeah, in a Russian prison. Yeah, he
Yeah,
spent
they
3
put you in
months
that
a
orange jumpsuit, But here's the thing: I got Charlie, I got you beat because I got arrested live on the radio.
Yeah.
I
Well, I was
taken
on the air
off
too.
Wait. You got arrested live on the air?
live on the radio. Yes,
I was on the
indeed.
air. I was on the air too.
Oh, were you?
Yes.
He was
But
doing
you
a
were
live remote.
Oh, you were doing a remote.
Yes. Oh, they came into studio with you.
Yeah. They dragged me off in handcuffs.
But wait,
What
tell
in
me
the world?
more.
What
See,
for?
the thing of it is, they couldn't do that according to FCC law, the FCC rules or whatever. They couldn't do it, but they did it anyway because they didn't know. There he
Oh,
is.
that's her right there.
That's a dude. No, that's a dude.
What's up, home slice?
That's a dude. That's a guy. That's a guy from that TV show.
That's it right there. That's her. That's her.
Hey, Holmes.
That's Sarah Russell.
Hey, that's the homeboy.
That's Sarah Russell.
That's that guy that was what's his name? A comedian, and he's an actor.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
He was
Ralphie.
on the show.
Ralphie.
But he was a good guy, though. He was funny. I'll pick on him.
He was on that show, dude. I know that dude.
Hey,
But
hey,
that
that's
was
the
funny.
homie. That's the
They
homeboy.
had
Pat,
decided
Patton
to have the
Oswald.
Virgin-
That's Patton Oswald.
Patton Oswald.
Hey, that was that was the guy from the Homeboy Shopping Network.
That's
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
That's it.
Let
Good
me see if
Lord.
I can let me see if I can find another one here, and then
No, I don't want to see her titties.
no, he was talking about Brittany Gardner and
Griner.
Grind, whatever her name is. Yeah,
Grindr.
that chick.
Yeah, she's a
Grinder,
great
even
girl.
better. Yeah.
That the funny thing is about if you've been watching the WNBA, which nobody cared about.
Nobody
until
is.
Caitlin Clark.
Which
So
nobody-
Caitlin Clark came along, and they did you know that they went after the Fever, her team, for the crowd. They're investigating the crowd for racism because when Angel Reese missed the free throw, the crowd cheered. And
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. A heart attack. They're going after the Fever's fans
Wow.
for cheering when Angel Reese missed a free throw. But my daughter plays
insane.
basketball. We cheer every time the other team misses, and
that's racist. And what are they going to do? They're going to arrest the crowd?
I
they
don't
gonna-
know. But
I mean,
They're
they're
going to pull
gonna
it January 6th. They're going to show
Hey,
up at
as the late
6:30
great
in the
Chick
morning
Hearn
with
would say,
CNN.
I want to see the WNBA actually bring legal action against their own fans.
Yeah.
I want to see that
Hey,
I mean,
that's their demise right there.
right there.
That's their demise. Good.
I want to
I
see that.
yeah, I mean,
wanna see
how else? How else?
I want to see that Barbara Streisand.
We don't want fans. We don't want money. That's what that is.
They don't. It's all it. Look, it's like Hollywood. Remember years ago they made all these war movies that were anti-American. Remember they were making these movies. I can't think of the name of one of them right now, but they made no money. They were literally money pits. They threw millions of dollars in, and they kept making them. Hollywood didn't care whether these movies were flops or not. They
And
just
every single
kept
one of
churning
them
them
got
out.
multiple awards.
And Bruce
awards.
Oh
Springsteen's
yeah, they
a
award all the awards and all that shit. And Charlie, you know how fake the awards are. Look,
Oh, yeah.
look at this. What's her name? That hip hop soul singer that pretends she's a cowboy. What's her name? The black chick.
Beyonce.
Beyonce, Bouncy. You know this because we know the industry. We know the music radio industry, right?
We do.
That was such Barbara Streisand that I couldn't believe it. She went to #1. How do you do this?
Money.
How do you have the #1 country song on Billboard before the song is released?
Payola.
How does that happen?
Payola.
Well, she just won female star of the year.
Payola.
How does that happen?
CMAs,
Nobody listened to that song. Everybody hates that song or that album, I guess. That was all manufactured. I think that should be, that should be the biggest story. And maybe this is because, and Charlie, I don't know how you feel, because I'm from radio and we know how phony radio is, how
Hey,
phony
it's
the music
it's theater of
industry
the
is.
mind.
And Vin is right. It was all payola. It was all paid for by her people. And they did it for a reason, not just to make a statement. They made a statement, but it was to prove that country music fans are racists. And the people that listen to country music are racists because
Hey,
they
you know
will
what's
not
funny?
embrace her.
That's funny. That's funny that they would try
Probably
and prove
pride.
that because I did 7 years of country radio.
Yeah.
So
Well,
call me a racist.
But that's what I think. That's what that exercise was all about because they did it. They went after radio stations. You guys know this? If a station did not play the song, they started a campaign against that station and got program directors fired for not playing Country Carter or whatever the name of that stupid song was.
That song was
Cowboy Carter.
Too.
Yeah, it was garbage.
It was horrible.
Garbage.
It was, but it's happening that country music has been overtaken by auto-tune and hip hop.
That song was no more horrible than anything from Florida Georgia Line. It is no longer country radio is no longer run by country people. It's run by Los Angeles.
Hey, did you know that I had the Rodeo King on? This guy was a legendary rodeo king, and he said, "Man, today's country music is made for sissies."
Yeah, no, it is. I do a country music show every weekend here in Tehachapi, up in not Tehachapi, in Lake Isabella at a radio station. And it's called the Icons of Outlaw Country. And we go into, and the thing of it is, there are current artists who are absolutely, Jamie Johnson, Sturgill Simpson, these guys are freaking amazing artists, great writers. They make their own music. They do it their way. Chris Ledoux, to me, you know Chris Ledoux?
Yeah, Chris Ledoux was awesome.
He was awesome. He was a great songwriter. He was a rodeo guy. But do you know, he died at, what was it, Vin? 52 years old? 54. He released 37 albums. He produced them all himself. No Nashville was not involved. No record company was involved. He had his own record label. He did it his way. That's an outlaw. That was one of the greatest artists of all time.
But he never saw market success. He never, he's not included with the George Straits and the Johnny Cashes. He's not.
His fans are hardcore.
And he would radio airplay. Very rarely got any radio
of the industry gatekeeping success in music is over because you can do what we're doing with your music. I know a guy who during the Rona, he used to travel around the churches. He's a phenomenal guitar player and singer, and he would do Christian music at churches and then they would pay him, an offering or whatever. That's what he did for a living. The Rona hit, done. Couldn't do it no more. So I got to do something. So he started a YouTube channel and started playing on the guitar hymns out of the hymnal because hymns are not copyrighted. They're too old.
Hey,
he plays the old stuff.
Exactly.
He's got a video with 52 million views.
Hey, check this out.
52 million views. The music industry, as far as the gatekeepers over, when you got a guy with a red beard and a dog and a guitar standing in the middle of the woods in Carolinas, starts singing about the rich men north of Richmond, and it gets millions of views and
got played on the radio.
Yeah,
and got
the music
played on
industry is
radio.
over because you can do it yourself.
A few
now,
radio
if you're
stations.
talented. If you're talented. You could do it yourself now.
Hey, check this out, guys. So I don't know if you how up you are on the Christian music though, Charlie.
I'm up on it.
So I'm just gonna say this: there are some radio stations that are owned by a company called the Awakening Foundation, Air 1K Love.
Hate it.
Yeah, exactly. So they're talking about this concert that they're putting on, and it's by such and such in the Awakening Foundation. Get a call from a record rep that I used to deal with, Charlie, in Top 40 Radio 7 years ago. He's like, "Are you seeing this?" I'm like, "Dude, I saw that a long time ago." So I made a comment to some family members. I said, "Oh, man, this is crazy. It seems like Christian music is the new Top 40. Like, oh, that's good, right?" I'm like, "No, that's freaking terrible. That's freaking terrible.
Manufactured fake music."
Yes.
And I'm sick of it. I haven't listened to Top 40 country or any genre since 1992, and I'm not going to now.
So these people that are so-called Christian artists are nothing but entertainers that are propped up by the major labels that put the division. Oh, this is a Christian division. Do you know that those records are being prayed over by 13 people before they're released? It's a ritual at these record labels.
It's all fake. Everything involving radio and music is fake.
Prayed for by whom? By whom?
Who are they praying to?
They're praying to Satan, of course.
Yeah.
They're praying to Satan.
Interesting. You said 13 people. Interesting that they would choose that number.
People are being fooled into thinking that these people that are, that these groups like Elevation Worship and Bethel Music and Feel Wicked and, Hillsong United, which that's a pedophile industry. And all of these people are being fooled thinking that these people are Christians, and they're nothing but propped up entertainers working for Satan. They figured, hey, let's get this Christian thing jumping off because there's a lot of people that claim to be Christians and we can make money off it. They're just entertainers, just having a label of Christian on it, but they're different versions of Taylor Swift. Guy named Torrin Wells. Guy doesn't like me because I called him a so-called Christian version of a gyrating Bruno Mars.
Yep. And let me tell you, let me touch on this because I travel and I play drums for different churches.
Mm-hmm.
I know people in the ministry. I've been involved in bands and nothing big, but these people are so self-centered and self-focused that it's unreal. But there are some that are totally awesome.
Of course.
And I've got a friend right now. He's not big. You would not know his name if I known him. He's not made public, but he's wrote several songs in the last year that are phenomenal, and they are anointed by God. It is fantastic. He played one for me the other day. I was like, man.
Hey, Mike.
He said, what should I do with that song? What's that?
I need to talk because I'm actually trying to do a segment on my show that I do ministry with, where I highlight independent Christian artists and actors who haven't sold out to the CCM or the NAR.
He has nothing recorded. Yeah. Nothing's on YouTube. He doesn't have a YouTube channel or nothing. He just writes songs and plays them at his church or when we travel, when we do something. We're going to do a revival. We were going to do it last weekend, but it got rained out, and he's going to play there. And I mean, it is fantastic. So that stuff exists.
Yes.
But this canned stuff that they're putting out, I don't want anything to do with it.
I know nothing about the Christian music scene. However, it doesn't surprise me that the Christian music scene is as facilitated and controlled and plasticized as the pop music scene. One of our doesn't even exist anymore.
One of our good friends, Rex McNeil, Rex on the radio, he was at that company in Hollister, Air One, and he was like, man, I was just like disappointed when I saw all that money exchanging hands in the hallways, and these were pastors paying it off. Bill Johnson dropping off the briefcase.
Does it really surprise you, considering what you've seen with the evangelical movement over the past 70, 80 years? I mean, these charlatans build these castles of worship, and maybe they had the right idea to begin with, but then they become corrupted by the money. And they're on television and they're doing the big thing and all this junk. It's all the same thing. They're all crooks.
I don't know why we would be surprised, though. Jesus warned us about wolves in sheep's clothing, infiltrate us into the church. Well, what makes you think that it's going to be any different in any kind of group or a genre that claims to be Christian? Of course, the same thing's going to be happening. And Mike, you mentioned there are some good artists, absolutely, but they're surrounded by three of the ones Vin mentioned are just downright wicked.
Well, let me correct you something. This guy that I was referring to is not an artist. He's not an artist.
A writer.
He's a minister. Oh,
okay.
Well, if he writes music, he's creating art. So
I understand, but the focus is different. Let me tell you something, because we're verging into a place where I actually have some expertise. I don't know much about the radio side of it. I mean, I know what you guys are talking about, and I get it. But when it comes to these ministries, when it comes to these charlatans and all this stuff, one of the things that I talk about all the time is that in the Bible, Christians were commanded to do three things by Jesus. One, spread the gospel. You'd all agree on that.
Yep.
Visit the prisoners. Visit the people in prison, and take care of the widows and the orphans.
And the poor.
Well, just widows and orphans. And in his time, that meant the poor. That's who the poor was. And so the government decided that they were going to do welfare and pay for all that. The church said, great. Now we can build big, beautiful buildings unto ourselves. And that's exactly what they did. Now, let me tell you something. You think that corporate's taken over country music and radio stations?
They've taken over the church.
They've taken over let me tell you what they do. These churches, they hire consultants for $50, $60, $100,000. The consultant comes in and says, what you need to do is you need to start a branch church in that community and this community and that community and that community. And then what we're going to do is we're going to give you the sermon, right? And you disseminate this sermon to your affiliate pastors. And we're going to take the data that each of these sermons produce, how much money they produce, how much turnover they produce, how many people come, and then we're going to consolidate all this data, and those sermons in the next 3 or 4 years that do the most, we're going to have you do versions of those sermons so that we can produce the most income.
Wow.
This is what they're doing in churches now.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are, Mike. I'm all over that. I'm all over that, Mike. And also the church, these mega churches that are playing all this music on top of all of that are paying the CCLI licensing fees every single year.
Yep. And you have to, because if you don't, they'll come down on you.
Yeah.
Really hard.
They'll send the muscle after you.
Yeah.
That's how this game is being played right now.
Yep.
In my area, there's a company advertising to churches and pastors in particular, and it's saying how to use AI to create effective and powerful messages for your congregation. AI. Now, the Holy Spirit is supposed to be doing that.
Well, there's a spirit involved with that, but it ain't
There
holy.
is a spirit, but it ain't holy.
Hey, it's Moloch, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not kidding. I was stunned when I heard that. But people are jumping right on board. Well, I got so many other things to do. I'm too busy to be writing sermons, so I'll just AI it.
Have you guys ever heard of a band called Petra?
Yeah.
Petra was a Christian rock band in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Had some of the best lyrics. One of their songs.
War.
Yeah, this is prior. What I'm talking about is prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
They sold millions of albums, never played on the radio. They had a song called Stained Glass Windows.
I have that song.
And I love the song. Now, the verse in the song is, look at the rose-colored stained glass windows, never allowing the world to come in, seeing no evil and feeling no pain, making the light as it comes from within so dim.
Mm-hmm.
That's the church today.
Amen.
And then there's another verse, the bridge. In the bridge, it says, out on their porch steps lay the masses in decay. Ignore them long enough, maybe they'll go away.
Wow.
Hey, you know what that says too, Mike? That was a warning that the church is about to be in decadency.
Yeah, and they are.
Yep.
And you look at these big preachers and the things that they do, and they do all kinds of stuff to attract people. They attract people. We got to attract people. We got to get people in with entertainment. Well, all you got is a bunch of people wanting to be entertained.
Worship-tainment.
And that does nothing for the Lord. And this is, I do, my show is about politics and religion. So this is stuff I
never even thought about this. I mean, I see, but I absolutely believe what you're saying, because we see the same thing throughout every movement. We see it in politics. I try to explain to people when we had an AOC Bernie Sanders rally here, the anti-oligarchy thing about a month ago.
By a couple of oligarchs.
And by a couple of
oligarchs.
The buses that showed up, they bussed people into Baker's. Now, there's a reason that they did that.
Nobody else would show up.
They did. Well, no, there's more to it than that. The message is that let's fill this stadium or theater, whatever it was. Let's fill it up with 3,000, 4,000 people in Kern County, California.
Mm-hmm.
You take the reddest county in California and you put 3,000 to 4,000 people in attendance to see and cheer Bernie Sanders, and you can send the message out that the most red county in California is turning blue. That is the message. But you have to have 3,000 to 4,000 people in the
They won't come to Central Missouri and try that.
Because we're the reddest county in California. Here's how you do it. You bus them in. We had videos of the buses, and there they are. They're not trying to hide it. And I know the companies that they work with. They're talent agencies. Mm-hmm. And they you want 10,000 people at your
casting call.
Yes, exactly. We'll get 10,000 people at your event. Just as AOC was chosen from a casting call, as CharLee said, so are all of these people that show up. It's all fake. It's all manufactured. It's all the matrix. We are living in the matrix right now. And it's not AI. It's just the way it's done. And it's been done this way for decades. And we've let it get to this point.
We've let it. Optical illusion, right, Jazz?
Yes, exactly. It's an illusion. They put this out there. And guess what? I predicted this 2 weeks before this event. The day of the event, I watched the news on local. I don't watch local news usually, but this time I did. And guess what they were saying? It appears that Kern County is turning blue. There were 3,000 KGET, KFBK, all of them. Kern County, 4,000 people turned out for there was, and they showed us across the street with our Trump signs, our anti-socialism signs, a small crowd of Republicans and conservatives showed up to counter protest. Yeah. A small crowd. They made it a point to say, look at this huge crowd of people inside the stadium, all wearing Bernie t-shirts and AOC hats and
the oligarchy.
They all were bussed in from LA. They were hired and they were paid and they were given lunch.
Yep.
But the $20 an hour. And the message goes out to then infiltrate the minds of the local conservatives that maybe my vote doesn't count. What's the point?
They probably had rehearsers. They probably had rehearsals in the audience on how to cheer appropriately. Too.
Hey, I'm gonna just say this, and I'm gonna leave it at that. There is a certain mega church pastor whom CharLee interviewed, who is edifying all of this bullball boogery of garbage of this NAR music that's poisoning the minds of people in churches. And I'm gonna send you the video when we're off the air, CharLee, because I don't want to.
All right. And
I guarantee you, you will not be surprised because they haven't even gotten back to you to have them on again.
No, you got to wonder, is there, I know there is, and I don't know the passages, dude. I'm not Bible savvy. I'm a bad Christian. I'm a bad Christian. I love the Lord Jesus Christ. He's my savior. I've got a picture. I don't know if it's on, you can see it. It's on the wall behind me. I can't think of the guy's name that did it. It's a woman hugging Jesus Christ. Yeah. And it's called, if you look it up, Google it, the painting is called My First Day in Heaven.
Yes, it's awesome.
It's a beautiful painting by a Middle Eastern Christian who does a series of these paintings. But where in the Bible does it talk about the false prophecies that will come at the end of times? Because this is what we're seeing, not just in the churches, but as I mentioned, in the political rallies. Everywhere. It's all with Beyonce, all these false prophets who are presenting themselves to be one thing. In fact, there's something else. Wasn't there a series of books that they made into maybe a TV show or movie about
Tim LaHaye?
What is it called?
The book was by Tim LaHaye, and it was I don't remember the name of the book series.
Well, they made a series, and it's about how the second coming is not Jesus; it's actually the Antichrist, and the people cannot see the truth. And I think that's where we're at right now. The people cannot see what's right in front of them. For some reason, there's a select few like us who sit there and can see. I see the buses coming in.
But nobody else does.
Nobody else does. I see the buses pulling up. And as Mike mentioned, they're being instructed on the bus ride how to cheer, how to hold up the signs.
Yep.
And it's all fake.
Mike, they don't like true Christians like yourself, CharLee.
Oh no, absolutely don't.
And Jazz, because we're gonna say it how it is and how it should be said.
Ephesians 5:11, be no part of the works of darkness, but instead even expose them. That's what we all do.
Yeah.
Amen.
Jazz, I want to go back to something you said earlier, and it's been on my mind and on my heart, and I want to share it with you because I love you. You've always been, since the very first time I worked with you at CBS Radio, there was just something about you. I like jazz. and I just
We had
always
fun
loved
in
his
those
mind
days.
and his sense of humor.
Charlie and I doing improv together at different events. That was so much fun.
Yeah,
God, fun.
But hey, Jazz and I built a great brotherhood together too.
I have I have to tell you this, because you mentioned you confessed something earlier that was powerful and hard to do, and I think if more people did it, it would change the face of this whole abortion thing as we know it. You confessed that you actually paid to have 2 lives snuffed out, and you said, I don't know if I'll be forgiven for that. I want to clarify something. Um, and that was before you were a follower of Christ Jesus. That dude's dead. That dude is gone. All the things that that dude did, all the choices and bad decisions that that dude made are gone. They're dead. Even if you do them after you've been saved and you truly confess and you repent and you ask the Lord to forgive you, it's done.
Amen.
He promises that.
Yep.
So no,
I look, I believe that. It's just, I think that I've recently, it's a weird time in my life. I mean, I'm loving being retired and all that. My son, who is approaching 40 for the first time in his adult life, is drug free.
Amen.
And I'm developing a relationship with him that I always wanted in his younger days, but never had because of his meth, fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, everything. So I'm thankful for all of that. The 2 that were aborted were both female. They did the ultrasound. I left it up to them. I left it up. My cop out was that I left it up to them, and I was and my responsibility was to pay for it, and looking back on it, it's 2 events in my life that I regret the most. The third being a drug addict myself in the 1980s, which destroyed my opportunities to go national with my morning show. But those 2 regrets of those two little girls that would be in their 20s. One would be about 28. The other would be about 32. And God knows what those little girls could have turned into, what kind of women they might have become, and what kind of, and the grandchildren they might have brought me. Because my son, my grandchildren, I don't ever see and have no contact with his ex. Very little contact with her and none with the girls. But, that's my great regret. And you have to come to terms with it as a man. I talk to women all the time who've gone through this, gone through abortion, and how many of them regret it. And I don't think there's enough men coming forward and talking about it as there are women.
No,
that's true. It's so true.
And I think it's something that needs to be addressed, because as men, we cop out to abortion. We think to ourselves that we're doing.
That's the point I was trying to make earlier.
Yeah, we're doing what they want. We're doing what the girl wants. It's her choice. It's her body. No, it's not. It's our choice. It's our decision too.
We help create that situation.
I would take that child, and I would raise that child if she didn't want it.
Amen.
And I didn't do it. I was copping out because I was having fun. I'm in my 20s. I'm having fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was more important. And that was more important to me, Charlie.
I know. I get it. I was that guy. I was worshiping myself.
Hey, we were there.
Exactly. I get it. There. That's why I brought it up again. not to bring up and dredge up.
No. Talking about it is an important thing. And as a guy that has, I did it. I think it's something that you can't walk away from it, and you can't look away from it. You got to face it. You know, it's like that meme that shows the woman holding the girl and holding her by her hair and saying, look, and she's got that shocked look on her face. Well, that's me. But I have to. I have to look at it. I have to face it. And I know that one of these days, the Lord will welcome me into the kingdom of heaven, and I will meet those girls.
Absolutely.
Hey, and you know what? And I got to tell you this much, Jazz.
And that's a joyful thing.
A lot
to
of
look forward to. I don't fear death. I fear dying because it might hurt. That's because I'm a coward. But I do not fear death because I will be in the kingdom of God, and I will. Hang on. I got to show you this because it means so much to me.
Jazz, you're not wearing any pants. I didn't know if you knew that.
He flew by the seat of his pants.
Yeah, I've seen that. I love that.
Oh, that's a great picture. I've seen that before.
Isn't that amazing? That is so good.
Awesome.
Hey,
Look at
you know
the joy,
what?
look at the joy in her face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This artist captured just an amazing.
Oh, that's giving me chills. That's giving me chills.
And the moment that I saw that, and the first time I saw it was on the internet, and on Twitter, I think it was.
You know what, Jazz? I got to tell you this much, brother.
I bought 3 copies of it and framed them, put them all through my house, because that's the moment that I think we all are looking forward to.
Yeah. Well done, good and faithful servant. Those are the words I want to hear.
Yep.
Yeah, amen.
And check this out. So, as Jazz was sharing this, I was just thinking about people that are watching now, or they're going to be possibly watching later. If that does not pull at your heartstrings and you say that you're a believer, you got a problem.
Yeah.
You've got an issue. Because I know when he was telling that story, it was pulling on my heartstrings because the Holy Spirit is indwelled in us. That's why it pulls at our heartstrings. Because we prefer life. The right to life. We prefer that. That's when you know that you are a changed man. When you start to see that happening within you. Because man, when you were telling that story, Jazz, that was really ripping at me. And I'm just like, man.
And that's why I also wanted to bring that up again too, because I pray that more men will step up like that. Because
that is exactly the reason I go public with that.
And
I've done it a couple of times on the radio, and I did it once on a television interview. But I think that it's important for men to realize, look, I've been an advocate for men's rights for years. I worked with the Men's Rights Coalition and Fathers for Equal Rights in Michigan. I've worked with Fathers for Equal Rights here in California as well. And I think we need to take a stand as men. We get beaten up and we get thrown on the trash heap. We're always the stupid one in the commercials that can't figure out what kind of peanut butter to buy.
Yeah.
We're always consistently presented in the media as these dumb, do kind of creatures.
Yeah.
And they will destroy you. The system will destroy. I have a friend who's in prison right now, and I don't believe he did it. I don't believe he did it. I believe that the girl is lying, because I know this guy, and CharLee, you may know him too. He was a major consultant in the business, and he just recently got marched off and put in that orange suit.
A major consultant?
Well, it's in the press, so you know, everybody has in the industry has seen it. It happened in Minneapolis, and I'll say that his name is Andy, and Andrew was accused by his daughter and his ex-wife of molesting her years earlier. Wow. And I saw this so much back in the 80s with what was then termed memory recovery or something to that effect.
That was so fake too.
And it was so fake. It was created by a psychologist in Detroit. And I was working in Lansing, Michigan at the time, doing my show. And we had these representatives on it. I got so involved in it, I would go out to the prisons to get to know these men. And I believe they were innocent. I mean, one of them, only one out of the probably 20 to 25 that I was involved with, was eventually had a retrial, and his daughter confessed that it wasn't true. But kids, they do this. They'll get it. You know, we had this thing a few years ago with women don't lie. What was it? The Me Too movement?
Oh yeah, me too. Believe her.
All the women.
Believe
not
her.
but not the women accusing Clinton or the rest of them.
Yeah. Biden. No, don't believe her.
Nobody else lies. And Weinstein goes to prison forever. Bill Cosby, same the kind of thing. Now they were guilty. I'm sure they are guilty. But the thing is, women do lie. And the thing is, you'll hear that children will never lie. They always tell. No, they lie. And absolutely, when they start to lie, here's the deal. And if you know anything about kids, and it could be something simple as who broke the cookie jar, right? It could be something simple. Or it could be something serious, like did daddy touch you there? Mm-hmm. And the kid will always try, and especially the youngest ones, will always try and please the adult and say what the adult wants them to say.
Right. Okay.
And once they start, they can't stop.
Right.
They have to be deprogrammed to get them to stop. Well, I just think that I think all of this, we have lost our identity as men.
Yep.
And it is a wide-ranging subject that, men are, the way men are portrayed in the media, the way men are presented in culture and in society, toxic masculinity, all that, Barbra Streisand.
Yeah.
And we need to, as men, stand up for each other, stick up for ourselves.
Right.
Do not back down, like Rush Limbaugh taught us. Always stand firm, stand your ground. Mm-hmm. And we as men have got to fight these things. Part of it is admitting that when we were younger and
we messed up,
we did stupid shit. Mm-hmm. We did. It was wrong to pay for an abortion. And I applaud men, and I've seen this, and they get demonized. I applaud these men who sue to try and prevent the ex-wife or the ex-girlfriend from having an abortion. We need to celebrate those men.
They'll literally say, "No, I will marry you, and we will raise this child. Please
have the child, and I'll take it, and you go off and screw the guys you want to screw, and I will raise the child. Yep. I will pay you. And I will go to my family. I will collect money. I will pay you to have the child, and I want custody. Save these children.
Yeah.
Don't pay for the abortions. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for your children. That's your child in there, for the love of God."
Yeah, and men have been taking a bad rap on that for years and years and years because government was trying to separate men from the family so that government can be the man in the family.
Hillary Clinton with "It takes a village." No, it doesn't. It takes one loving parent, preferably two, but at least
much better. And you look at I don't remember who was saying this. Maybe it was Denzel Washington was posted talking about the crime and the degradation of the black society. Because of the absence of the men,
the fathers,
in the family units.
He did. He did talk about that.
Right on that. And everywhere that the absence of men is chaos. It's horrible.
Yeah. And you see it in the streets.
Can I touch on something that you said earlier? You were talking about how your son is in recovery and that you're in recovery. Man, that's so awesome. And that's such a hard thing, such a story, because I work with a recovery house, a Christ-centered recovery house that takes people out of prison, out of addiction, or out of homelessness, and try to teach them to be men. It's a men faith-based recovery house, and I see it all the time. These people who are generational this way, and their lives change. They get back with their families, their wives, their kids, and they're restored to life. And it's so fantastic that you have been able to have a relationship with your son now because of that. And you yourself, because of being able to get away from addiction. Addiction is terrible. It's terrible. I used to be the one to say it's not a disease. They can stop if they want to. I used to be that guy.
I still say that. I still believe that as a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. I still believe, no, it's not a disease. It's a choice. And I chose to do meth.
I agree with you. But once you're in the midst of that addiction, you might need a little help getting out of it.
That doesn't make it a disease. It makes it a psychological disorder. I agree with you, Jazz. I hate that when they call it a disease. They can't help it. Oh, shut up.
Every single
I agree with you, but sometimes you need some help.
How many drug addicts would you say out of 350 million? What is our population? 350 million? How many drug addicts do you think there are out of 350 million people? 20 million? 50 million?
It depends on how you define that. But
okay,
hardcore, I don't know there's 20 million hardcore, but there's a large percentage.
Let's say alcohol and coke, meth, and heroin. Let's say it's 40 million people. Just random number. There are 40 million reasons. There are 40 million diseases right there. Each individual is suffering individual addictions. Okay, you cannot lump them into a sum. And I used to say this at AA.
They got there. They all got there their own way too.
Exactly. And if AA is what you need to get sober, fine. It wasn't what I needed. All I needed was some time off, and it's gone. And I had the support of my wife, and that's all I did it for my wife originally.
I know people who were addicted to drugs hardcore, and they were drug dealers, and they said,
"Oh yeah,
they got on their knees one night because they were just done. They hit that wall, and they were done cold turkey the next day, and they haven't looked back for 30 years."
That's exactly where I'm at. I am 7 years. I am she said, never started counting. Probably 20 some odd years free of drug. I'm at this point. Okay, at this point, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I am California sober.
What's that?
I'm California. You know what it is.
No, I don't.
I'm California sober.
What does that mean? Oh, I know. Oh, I get it. Yeah, all right. There we go.
California sober. No alcohol for almost 8 years, and no hard drugs of any kind for. I'm gonna guesstimate and say it's about 22, 25, somewhere in there. Yeah, I've got some weed here at the house that was given to me by a friend about 6 or 8 months ago.
Kevin McCarthy.
And that weed.
Kevin McCarthy?
It is, the amount of weed that I have that was given to me a few months ago is about the same amount that was given to me. It is so rare that I smoke. But occasionally I do, and I don't have a problem with that. It puts me to sleep, to be honest with you. It ain't what it used to be. You know, the thing that kills me? Everybody talks about, marijuana today is much stronger than it used to be. It's way strong. It's super duper strong. Yeah, marijuana has looked me in the eye. That's where the camera is up there. I apologize. I'm looking down at the screen. Marijuana, boys and girls, has changed. But yet, I guess I have too, because it's not at all what it used to be. It's way less, not more. Smoke as much weed as possible so you get to the point where it doesn't make you high anymore. Smoke as much weed as you can.
I would challenge that. Yeah, I've got some experiences with tie stick in my 20s.
You mean the dope tied to a stick?
Don't be telling me that it's stronger now.
No,
Hey,
I think it was
Ben,
way
you had
stronger back then.
Ben, you had something you wanted to share on the screen. What
Yeah,
was that?
before you share it, and you know, I
Well, it
get
went
it. How
away. You need
Denzel
to bring it up again. It went
Oh,
away.
it's
You
still
need to bring
there.
it up again. Well, it's not showing for me. I was going to
I
bring it
don't
up, but
see it.
not until I knew what it was.
I don't know how you do that.
All this technology stuff. Anyways, I just wanted to say that I commend you because I see it. I see people struggling with it. It's such a struggle in people's lives.
But I
Have
think
such
it's
a control over
individual.
some people. What's that?
I think it's different for everybody.
Oh yeah, sure. You know, and I've seen people go. I mean, just from straight out of prison, the only thing they own is a yellow jumpsuit, and we got clothing we give them to.
Oh yeah.
To
Well,
just
there it is.
they're working, they're producing, they're back with their families.
You guys know I lost my brother
thing.
to overdose in 2017. I lost my brother to meth and booze.
Sorry, Charlie.
So this strikes home, and I disagree with Jazz about the pot. I think it is a terrible choice to make, but that's me. And I got stories. I did my own drugs.
I would agree.
Didn't get clear of it all until I got saved. But even
listen to me. I want to clarify something on the issue of marijuana. I'm 67, almost 6 in August. I turned 67 years old, and you know, I busted my ass, worked hard all my fucking life. If I had never started smoking pot when I was 16, 15, 14, maybe I would have never done meth. You're right, you know. But guess what? I'm 67 now, and I'm not going to do meth, and I'm not going to drink, but I'm sure as hell going to smoke me some weed.
All
and I've
right.
earned that right. Every gray hair on this beard is.
Okay. You know how Mike brought up the whole thing about race?
Yeah.
With Denzel Washington? That's fine and dandy, but I want somebody to read that quote.
I can't see it.
I got to put my glasses on.
That's right.
Okay, I'm reading it right now. Are you ready? John D. Rockefeller said, "We will always hide the divine truth from them, that we are all one, that we must never know, we must never know. They must never know that color is an illusion. They must always believe that they are not equal. Drop by drop, we will advance our goal. We will take over their lands, resources, and wealth to exercise control over them. We will trick them into accepting laws that will steal the little freedom they have, and I know that they do it piecemeal. We will set up a money system that will shut them down forever, keeping them and their children in debt." John D. Rockefeller. Is that legit?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm
legit.
That's a legit quote.
Okay.
And it's happening right now.
How would you summarize that in 4 words? John D. Rockefeller quote about fooling the people?
Yeah, let's try that. Let's see what comes up. You want to make sure you don't get the truth, be sure and search it on Google.
No, yeah, right. I'm using Grok.
There you go.
Let me point something out about these. Okay.
Yes, here it is.
I talk religion. I'm a servant of God. I've been called to a certain place.
Mm-hmm.
These people, John D. Rockefeller's probably included. When he's speaking there, he's not speaking. The spirit within him is speaking.
No, actually, he didn't say that.
Oh, did you? You didn't Snopes it, did you?
No, I didn't. I went to Grok, and here it is. It's a misattribution. Might stem from Rockefeller's controversial legacy. Critics like Eugene versus Debs accused him of exploiting workers. Blah blah blah. He did say some things apparently, but according to Grok, at least, there is no evidence that quote. In short, there is no credible evidence that Rockefeller ever said anything about fooling people.
I don't trust Grok or ChatGPT.
Well, I don't trust the internet. So I don't trust the internet. So
look up the Margaret Sanger quotes. That'll get there.
There you go.
That's real. But here's one thing I always do, and I use Grok and Google and what's the other one? DuckDuckGo. When Brave. You go on, I don't know how many of you are, if you guys are all on Facebook and X, but you'll see these things. Whoopi memes. Goldberg arrested and kicked off The View.
I know, and everybody spreads
the article.
Around.
The article is the first. It's a picture. All right. And then it's got the title of the article, but the article is in the first comment. The link is in the 1st comment. And it's a link that takes you to a website that this person gets money for every click they get. It's clickbait, as you all know. It's a real easy thing to just Google those things and see if it's real.
But see, a lot of times, if that quote wasn't real, then what are they doing today? They race bait.
I realize that. I'm not saying that that's not a true theory. I'm just saying John D. Rockefeller, I don't believe said it. I trust Grok. And, if there was some attribution somewhere, some legitimate attribution, it would be.
Right.
I don't see it. If Grok can't find it, I will do more searching, though. I will. If you send me that, can you text that to me on where are we, on Facebook or?
I'm not on Facebook anymore.
Okay, we're on X, though. We're both on X.
Yeah, we're both on X.
Yeah, send me that so I can do a better search, because I would honestly like to know. Here's the thing. Everybody remember this. This is important, okay?
This is. Yes.
There are people out there, and I've seen them interviewed, and they put this shit up on the internet that is blatantly false in hopes to get us conservatives, libertarians, populists, whatever, to get us excited to retweet or repost it, when they can then stand back and say, look at all these idiot conservatives
100%
believing this, and it's false. It's 100% false.
Is twofold. They get that benefit, and they also get paid because Facebook is now monetized.
Your boy Rick D sent that to me, so I know he will vet things.
Facebook is now monetized and has been for a while. Not me. I signed up to do it, and all it took was just a couple of things about, the scamdemic and election fraud, and all of a sudden, nope, we're not giving you any share of the advertising like we are everyone else. You've lost that right.
I have almost 11,000 followers on X, but the most comments or reactions that I'll get or views that I get is maybe 100 on any post. But then there's people with 5,000 followers who end up with 3, 4, 5,000. Now I don't know if there's a trick to it. There probably is. Probably some
hashtags
that you do, but I can't monetize either. But I know when you see a post that says Whoopi Goldberg is a cunt, do you agree? And people then will agree, right? Well, every post, or I should say every comment that they get, they're getting maybe a half a cent or 2 cents or whatever it is. That's how monetization works on a lot of these social media sites. Every interaction they get paid for.
Facebook sent me a deal saying, "Do you know that your still picture posts, because I don't ever share anything, I create original content.
Yeah,
sometimes I screenshot somebody else's stuff, but it's originally Facebook knows it's mine. It says your still pictures, your pictures get 375 more views than your videos. Well, no crap. Because you're censoring them. Before January 6th, I have videos. I can scroll back and look. Well, they're probably deleted now, but I have screenshots of it with 60,000 views on Facebook. 60. That was back when I was just using my doggone phone to do my show. And after January 6th, January 7th, 8th, 9th, 300.
Oh, you're talking about your show, your podcast?
Yeah. 300 views. So I went from 60,000 with people commenting from around the world to 300.
How do you do that? I do a Facebook Live thing, and I've only got less than 3,000. I got 3,000. That's it. But I'll do a Facebook Live thing, and I have 6 people.
Right.
6.
That's it. That's happening right now. And when I post this on my Rumble channel, that will change. But I want you guys to see this. Vin, especially you. I want you to see this. You're going to love this. I played it on my show last week, and it's from a group called 5 Times August. They're out of
I interviewed
Texas.
that guy.
I want to interview him. I've written him. I haven't heard back from him, but I call it a group.
I'll call
Okay,
him
I
today.
appreciate that because I'm a huge fan, and it's not really a group; it's one dude. But watch this song that he just that he writes everything, does all the instrumentation and everything. He's like a one man, he's a Jeff Lynne of ELO kind of guy.
And he worked in radio.
Yeah, he worked in radio. Watch this. 5 times August.
Times everybody's angry, living lives, and you broke joke woke folk think you're gonna save the day. You've gone out of your damn mind, kids. Nobody cares about what you say. So you scream, oh please look at me, living through an iPhone TikTok dream. Rate me, date me, grade me, pay me, begging for attention. Boo-hoo, you've gone out of your damn mind, kid. Nobody cares about what you do. Wanna play the victim, wanna be the hero, looking like a miserable, confused weirdo. Think you got it figured out for everybody else when you don't even know yourself. All your selfies ain't no revolution, they're slowing down our evolution. I suppose I need to apologize, and if I don't, you hope and wish I'd die. Oh cool, another rule made up by a teenage rebel who loves big tech, big farm, big gov, big laws. Gonna talk about it on their new blog. You've gone out of your damn mind, kid. Nobody cares about what you want. So you cry, not true, I'll fact check you. Getting your opinion approved by some desperate, faceless, nameless, brainless intern writer for the fake news. Hey, you're out of your damn mind. Nobody cares about what they say. Think you got a choice, think you're something special in the corporate white noise. Tweet this, post that, gram this, talk that, swipe left, tap here to this, not that. You think that they're on your side, they only share what they decide. You're just part of the corruption that's peddling crap for mass consumption. Right. Oh geez, you labeled me, your tolerance is so extreme. Which one do I get to be, a fascist, bigot, or Nazi? You're out of your damn mind, kid. Cause I don't care about what you think. Oh my heavy times, everybody's angry, living lives, and you broke joke woke folk think you're gonna save the day. You've gone out of your damn mind, kids. Nobody cares about what you say. You've gone out of your damn mind, kid. Nobody cares about what you say. Damn mind. Nobody cares about what you say. Yeah.
That's too good. That is, I'm telling you, that is too good.
Is it not perfect?
That is beautiful.
Have you guys had anybody call you a boomer? Remember that whole phase?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, boomer. My response to that was always the same. Yes, and what are you going to say next about that?
Hold on, guys. We got to take this call.
Go ahead.
No, I tell them, when they call me a boomer, I tell them, no, I'm Gen X. I'm just a little too, I'm at the end of the boom. I'm 1958. Gen X changed, what was it, 61, 64? Okay. But I more identify with the Gen X because I'm young at heart.
There you go. All right.
But you call me a boomer, I'll show you boomer. Bang! That's what goes. Boom! I got the boomstick. I got the boomstick.
I have a feeling you have the my 5 times August guy on there. Did you get him?
He's still muted.
I guess so. You're muted, Ben.
He's got a phone call. He muted himself.
Yeah.
Oh, we've been preempted for somebody more important.
Yes, no, it happens. It happens.
He's getting a call from Rick Dees.
Well, I was 1971, so I am totally in the Gen X range, and you know, I was talking to my daughter who's Gen Z, and she's 17, going to be a senior in high school, and I said, you know, the difference is. She goes, what's that? Is as Gen Xer, I just don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. It doesn't. It's not that it doesn't bother me or bothers me.
I
don't care.
I'm with you. I make memes all the time that indicate the same thing, but not from a Gen Xer's perspective, but from a 67-year-old man's perspective. I just don't give a shit. Don't tell me. I don't want to hear your pronouns.
I don't want to hear your pronouns.
Get off my lawn.
You're speaking of pronouns. Who else calls? Who else calls themselves they and them? Demons. Demons call themselves they and them.
The first recorded pronouns in the Bible, and it's when Jesus asked the demon, "What is your name?" and he said, "I am Legion, for we are many."
Yeah.
What I say to people, look, this is the way I look at it. If you say you're a woman and you're really a man, I'm sorry, I'm not going to refer to you as a woman. But if you tell me that your name is not Alan, that your name is Alice, okay, cool. I'll call you Alice if that's what you want. My real name isn't Jazz. I went on the radio and changed my name about a dozen times. Big deal. But I'm not going to sit there and say, her instead of him. I'm not.
Well, anybody that does that, in my mind.
Did you see that video of that traffic reporter from L.A. who's dressed up like a woman threatening to beat the shit out of Ben Shapiro? That old video. And it's one of my favorites.
That was damn ridiculous.
And he sits there and they're sitting right next to each other.
What I couldn't believe the most is that the host just sat there and didn't even intervene in any way.
No. Here's this guy. He's a media dude and he's threatening. He puts his hand on Shapiro and threatens to punch him.
Yeah.
Well, that's not very ladylike. I wish, I know Ben. Did I ever tell you this? No. I gave Ben his start, and I don't even get a call back anymore. Ben, I read an article in the Fresno Bee, and it was about a young man entering UCLA at 14. He was 13, and he was going to enter UCLA at 14. He graduated high school at 13 years old and applied to UCLA and been accepted. Well, I see this kid's name in the Fresno Bee, little article about that big. I tell my producer, get me this kid on the phone. This is amazing. So he does, and it's Ben Shapiro. And he's 13, about to turn 14. I put him on my radio show, and I said, this kid has to come to town. So I called, I had his home phone number. I called his mother after the show, and I said, we want Ben to come up and speak to the Republican Jewish Coalition, which I was a part of. I'm not Jewish, but, I love those guys. I love me some Jews. I love the Jewish people. That is so wonderful. I love
the Jewish people.
They're so great. You know what? When I was doing stand-up, when I was doing stand-up comedy, and CharLee will appreciate this, I was doing stand-up comedy. Every comic in San Francisco at the time was Jewish. So I changed my name to Jazz McKaystein because I figured if I presented as a Jew, I'd get more laughs. But so anyway,
that's funny.
I called up his mother and she said, well, what day do you want us? And I said, well, here's the deal. And I gave him information and she drove him up to Fresno. They stayed at my apartment. He came and spoke. And you guys, Mike, you'll appreciate this because you do public speaking and CharLee too. So Ben gets up there, 13. He hadn't even turned 14 yet. And he's doing his thing in front of all these Jewish folks. Now, right in front of me is an elderly Jewish couple. Big guy with his, hang on. Big dude. And he's got his cane. Mm-hmm. He's sitting there like this, He's got to be in his 80s. He's holding his cane.
Never cracking a smile.
He's watching. He turns to now, Ben, at what speed does Ben Shapiro speak?
248 miles an hour.
And this old man turns
1,200 words per minute.
He turns to his wife and says, I can't understand the word he's saying. I can't understand him. He's lingo. What did he say? And his wife is going, he said that. Oh, okay. All right. And he sits there and he's watching Ben Shapiro, but can't understand the word he said. The kid spoke so fast. And afterwards, we had the meet and greet where everybody stands around and talks to him. And they kept coming up, all these old Jewish people coming up to him. When you were talking about the Shabbats, what was it you said about the Shabbat? And he would go into detail. And his mother was like, Ben, slow down.
Slow down. Slow down.
So I eventually came to Bakersfield. Ben was at UCLA and he was about to enter law school. And I had him on my show here all the time. We had him on weekly, as a matter of fact. And he was probably by that time about 16, 17 years old. He got his law degree. How was he? 18, 19 when he got his law degree. But anyway, he was on my show every week. We had a weekly thing with Ben Shapiro. He went to law school, came back to Los Angeles. He went, did he go to Yale? Wasn't it Yale or was it Harvard?
Yeah.
Law school.
I think he ended up.
What's the difference?
Well, he goes back. He got his law degree in 2 years. I mean, he graduated UCLA with honors in 2 years. He goes to Harvard, gets his law degree in 2 years, comes back, and he's in LA. And I said, I called him up. God, I wish I still had that home phone number. I used to call his dad. His dad was great. We would talk. I'd see Ben being interviewed on TV. I'd call his dad and say, God, I saw Ben on Fox News or on Newsmax. Blah, blah, blah. And so I called. I said, I need somebody to fill in for me on Friday. We'll put you up in a hotel. And he said, oh, cool. And he comes up, and he came up to Bakersfield. We got him a hotel, but my boss wouldn't pay him any money. He would put him in a hotel and give him pay for his gas. He had a gas card, radio. They're cheap. They're cheap, but they got a lot of trade. So we had trade at the hotel. We had a gas trade, which of course for salespeople with these little debit cards for gasoline. We give them that, but that's all they would do. He filled in for me maybe 10 or 20 times, and then started working at KFI. He was doing talk radio at KFI on weekends. And I would try and get him to come back. This went on for about a year, maybe a year and a half. And he was my main fill-in guy. And then he said, well, I'm going to have to get paid. And I went to Steve Darnell, was my boss. And I go to Steve, you got to pay him. It's Ben Shapiro. This kid is going to be a star someday. He says, I got no money to pay him. I said, pay him $100. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. Can you imagine that? So here we are today. Ben Shapiro is one of the biggest stars in the conservative stratosphere, and my boss wouldn't pay him a lousy $100 to come fill in for me. Mm-hmm. But Ben.
That's pretty typical.
Yeah.
That guy's going around telling stories. I could have paid Ben Shapiro, but I was too cheap.
Early in my career, I worked for nobody outside of this group right here will probably even recognize the names I'm about to say. But this guy was the program director of a station when I was still in college, one of my first big breaks in radio. And he used to brag about he was the guy who fired Don Imus.
From which job? NBC?
No,
WNBC?
K-Joy in Stockton. Oh. He had Don Imus doing mornings on KJOY in Stockton. This goofball would brag about, I fired Don Imus. You might want to put that on the down low, because that's not winning you favors in my eye here, buddy.
I see that. I see
you look like an idiot.
I used to work.
They brag about that crap.
I used to work for Don Burden, and Don Burden had given the real Don Steele his name. He hired Gary Owens, was the first guy he ever hired when he started radio in the 50s.
Love Gary Owens.
Gary was a great guy.
One of the best people I've ever known.
I found some old recordings he did for me the otother day. He was doing silly sponsors. Remember those?
Yeah.
And he had done these silly sponsors for the Jazz McCann. No, it was there. Gosh, radio. God, CharLee, we used to have so much fun, dude. Seriously,
radio romance.
It was so great, but it's gone. I mean, it
was a very creative environment that encouraged creative people.
Wasn't it fun?
It was a blast.
I miss it. I'm still on the radio, but I'm not even in the studio anymore. I'm doing things from home.
I'm doing it at home. Yeah, same here.
I miss that, being able to have a listener actually call you and talk to you and request a song or have a complaint or whatever. I didn't care. I loved and I missed that, being tied in with the community and be a part of their family.
And when we were doing Top 40
earlier with Rush Limbaugh, part of the family.
When we were doing Top 40. Go back and think about the songs we played in the 70s. and the 80s, the top 40, the pop music. God, that was so much better than the shit they're putting out today. It's garbage. Even our worst music in the 70s and the 80s was like so much better. Indiana wants me. Lord, I can't go back there.
It's all specialized, kind of like medicine. You can't just have a top 40 station anymore. Nobody will listen to a hip hop song. Who will listen to a country song? Who will listen to a rock song?
I don't listen to any of it.
And that was I don't listen to any of it, Mike.
Neither.
It is so bad.
40 radio. I loved it. I'll never forget a music director at a radio station when I was early in my career walks in and goes, "Hey, I want you to play this," and open up the phones, ask people what they think of it, and we wound up adding it, and it became a huge hit.
Yeah, they knew it was
frickin' Frank Sinatra, New York, New York. I'm like, are you serious? We're a top 40 rock station. Loved it. It was a hit. If it's a hit, it's a hit. If people liked it, they wanted to hear it.
You know what? When that record got added, Frank Sinatra paid the tab.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
No, it was a great song. What's wrong with you?
Frank Sinatra, man.
Don't cast aspersions on my man.
No. Frank Sinatra was. You don't talk bad about Frank or Elvis. There's no talking bad about Frank or Elvis. It's not done. It can't be done. It is wrong. It is.
Hey, I love Frank Sinatra. Don't get me wrong.
And don't say anything bad about Herman's Hermits or Alice Cooper and Herman's Hermits.
Hey, did you
listen? And let's see. Can you hear? Can you hear this?
KSLY.
Is that playing?
Coming soon's your chance to
yes.
KSLY, that's San Luis Obispo, isn't it? Or it's over on the Central Coast.
Albums and lots more. The only criteria is you got to have a CharLee Star Card. You got to be 18 years old. Why don't you pick one up at St. Louis Nursery?
CharLee Star Card. CharLee Star Card.
All houseplants, get your CharLee Star Card, and then don't leave home without it.
Paul Simon.
That's radio.
Into Paul Simon. Who was that? You, Jazz?
That's me.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
You know, back then you had to have talent to be in the music industry.
Yes, absolutely.
Nowadays you don't.
You needed talent. You needed energy.
How much of the audience is at fault, though, Jazz? The audience didn't want to hear DJs anymore. They don't want to be entertained. They were told.
I'm sorry. They were told.
They were told and taught.
Yeah, they were told.
Programmed.
I agree.
And were told by the radio stations.
Oh, check
the radio stations then would decided. I mean, research doesn't mean shit. You can make.
We're the ones. You and I, guys like us, we're the ones that cost them the most money. And we knew that we had the listeners, we knew we had the audience, so they had to pay us more. That's why you wanted to do morning or afternoon drive.
When you start making more than the general manager, they're going to figure a way to get rid of you. That's what happened to me.
I had a general manager throw that in my face one time.
$150,000 a year, and the GM was barely making 90.
And you guys are old pros at this.
Go ahead.
And I've not ever been on the radio or been on the inside or anything. But let me tell you something. So we talk about the music industry and how it's so programmed and how it programs people's minds to get them to listen and all this stuff. So I listened to music. I was so into the music scene. I grew up, like I said, in Lancaster. So I'm listening to the Hollywood, Hamilton, Rick Dees, and all them stuff out of LA over the mountains. And I joined the military, right?
Speaking of that, I was on the
Benning. I get shipped over to Iraq for the first Gulf War. I'm gone for about a year. And the only thing I get to listen to is Armed Forces radio networks and the same three songs over and over. And so I come back to the States and I'm driving in my car and I said, what is this crap? I recognize nothing. And from that day forward, I've never listened to the Top 40 radio ever again.
I miss Top 40, man. I loved it.
I broke from the programming that was given to me, like this song. This song's number one. Like this
Universal
song.
Like
you know what? I tell you something. That. I'll tell you something right now.
Universal money control.
The thing of it is, talk radio came along for guys like you at just the right time because you were tired of the sameness, the repetition. And what happens is talk radio comes along and there's no repetition. It's different. Every opinion by every host is different. You get 3 hours of Rush Limbaugh, followed by 3 hours of Sean Hannity or Glenn Beck in the morning or whoever. And you hear all these different perspectives covering different stories, and the variety is there. This is why it's so big for guys our age, between 35 and 65, right? Or in my case, 67.
You are so right.
I refuse to do a board op shift for Sean Hannity.
I don't blame you. I can't stand
I
it.
refused.
I think he's a dick, but I would have done it, just put it on my resume.
They got upset because I refused to board out for Sean Hannity. And they're like, why are you not going to board out for Sean? I said, because he's no Rush Limbaugh.
No, he's a follower. The only reason people listen to him is it came on after Rush.
After Rush, exactly.
I've never met him, but I think he's a hack. I never liked him from the days of Hannity and Combs. Long before I ever heard him on the radio. This is a guy who wants to brag to you about what an average guy he is.
Yes, how blue collar he is.
And I know karate.
I use construction. Yes,
I know lots of those words. Karate, taekwondo. I know all.
He wants to do all these things, and what happens is, they got Linda because the audience got tired of him and it's an over-researched show. It is overly consultantized. Mm-hmm. Sean Hannity, during the COVID thing, I just can't believe this guy. He's on television and he's on radio telling everyone to get the injection, and get the injection and wear the masks so we can go back to normal. And I want to be able to go to watch a baseball game because I'm a normal guy. I want to be able to walk into Walmart again like a normal guy, but you got to wear masks if we're going to do that. He was the voice and is the voice. He is not conservative. Look, he may or may not be conservative.
He used to be.
Well,
he never was. I never liked him. I never liked him from day one.
No, me either.
I knew he was a phony. When you come from the streets, you can tell a phony. You can tell when someone's a jackass.
I think that what he is everything he says he is. Coming up as a child, growing up, his mother was, I believe, a guard or whatever he calls him. His father, I don't know what he was, but he worked construction before he got into radio. He never did top 40. He never did mornings. He went directly to talk radio. He does not know how to entertain. The thing that makes CharLee and I better
I can run a board
is that we were jockeys.
Run them in churches.
And the fact of the matter is, if you were a lawyer before you got into talk radio, you're dull. If you were a construction worker before you got into talk radio, I'm sorry, but you are a hack. If you were a DJ before, or a comedian, if you stood in front of an audience and told jokes for a half an hour, 45 minutes, 5 nights a week, 4 nights a week, you have more experience at entertaining, and you'll be a better talk radio host than a guy who used to drive a cab.
And Rush used to be a disc jockey.
Rush was a top 40 disc jockey. Yeah,
he was a radio. He was running the back end of radio and the sales department of the Kansas City Royals.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
Rush started out as a disc jockey when he was about 14 years old. Rush was a DJ. All right. He did a lot of other work within radio, but Rush Limbaugh was a DJ. Glenn Beck was a DJ. CharLee was a DJ. Jazz was a DJ. We were DJs. Look at Ben, worked with
baby.
And I was a used car salesman.
DJ, worked with some of the greats.
And we did your commercials and showed up at your lot for remote broadcast.
For $300
I did morning radio. I played 4 songs an hour, and my boss said, "I'm firing you, so you go do talk radio now." And I did. I went to Miami and got a job doing talk radio. But I knew how to entertain people.
What's this?
Are we back?
No. What's this?
It's catching up, I think.
You want me scared, you want me weak, you want me brain dead and asleep, you want us trapped while you all laugh behind the scenes. You want us sick, you think we're dumb, you want us blind, then you want us drug. You want us poor while you get more of everything. But you don't get to tell me what to think and what to do. No, you don't get to tell me what is true.
Okay.
You're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. And so I don't believe a single word you say. You're all liars, fakes and cons. Want you out and we want you gone. So don't believe this time you'll get away. You want us tricked, you want us numb. You want us scared and you want us stung. You want us shot and you want us bought in every way. You want our minds, you want our time. You want us framed up in your crimes. I hope you know that it's time to go and we're taking names. 'Cause you don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. No, you don't get to tell us what is true. 'Cause you're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. And so we don't believe a single word you say. You're all liars, fakes and cons. Want you out and we want you gone. So don't believe this time you'll get away. 'Cause we see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. You don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. You don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. You don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. 'Cause you're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. And so we don't believe a single word you say. You're all liars, fakes and cons. Want you out and we want you gone. So don't believe this time you'll get away. 'Cause we see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. 'Cause we're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. And so we don't believe a single word you say. 'Cause we're all liars, fakes and cons. Want you out and we want you gone. So don't believe this time you'll get away. We see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. 'Cause we see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. 'Cause we see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. 'Cause we see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies.
That song has become my anthem.
Yeah, it
That is
seems
my
like it.
anthem. That's 5 Times August. That's that same group out of Texas. That same dude, Brad Skitzmas, is it? Is that how you say his
Yeah,
name,
Brad
Jen?
Skitzmas.
What an extraordinarily talented dude he is. Now,
Yeah,
that
so
came
good.
out last August before the election. And I've got to be honest, I'm in the media and we're not immune. We know the tricks, but yet I was feeling like, holy cow, maybe, I don't know, this is, what's going to happen? And I was starting to feel like a little uncertain about the outcome of the election in November. And
Yeah.
then somebody sent that song to me.
Oh,
Charlie, have you
nice.
seen this? And
Yeah.
it changed my attitude. It changed my life in many,
Mhm.
many ways
Nice.
because it had, and that's the tremendous power of music and the media. What you and I were talking about, Jazz and Vin, what we've done, Mike, with your influence with your podcast now. It's tremendously powerful. We can never forget that, but it can be a force for good. It can be used for good. It's been robbed by the devil. It's been taken over by his demons and his minions. But there is a force for good. That song will never get airplay. Never.
It's catchy.
And even before it came, even when I started playing it on the show, Facebook would jack with it. I mean, they'd mess up the sound, they'd speed it up, they'd slow it down. It was weird what they were doing. They would not let me play that on Facebook
because
I kept playing it. I kept playing it on Rumble. But it's so funny. Just now, we're live on Facebook still. I just played that song after the election. All of a sudden, it was fine. No sound problems, no glitches.
Check this out.
Well, Zuckerberg's MAGA now.
Yeah, he's MAGA. He's MAGA now. Yeah,
supposedly. Hey,
supposedly. Go ahead.
Hey, so, we were talking about talk radio. So, me, CharLee, I'm always in the laboratory trying to figure out the formula on how we can improve our shows and all this other stuff, right?
Much more so than me.
So,
I'm like, whatever.
I decided 4 months. I decided a month. I'd say around December. I said, you know what? I love talk radio so much. I love communicating with the audience. Yeah, it's nice that they type in the live chat and all that stuff. So I start doing this thing every week. People get to call in and ask questions. I do my show like a talk radio format.
How do you take phone calls?
And I set up a phone line.
Oh, really?
I set up a phone line.
That's awesome.
I embedded my tablet into my board. So people can hear the output on the air of the phone calls like radio.
Dude, that's awesome.
And I do this thing. It's called Call In with Vin. Ask questions. Q&A session. Every week.
Dude, that's awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
No, I think that's good. You know what's happening. I don't know, CharLee or Vin or Mike, if you guys listen to any of I've been listening to radio from outside Bakersfield lately. And listening to, in particular, KFI in Los Angeles. And what I've discovered is they don't take calls.
No, it's garbage.
No, I disagree. I think it's great. They don't take calls. Now,
Rush Limbaugh never took calls either, except for Friday.
Yeah, Freedom Friday with Rush Limbaugh.
He'd take calls.
Phone Friday.
He'd take calls. The problem is his rants were too long.
He's like, I got used to doing talk radio without taking calls, and because it was easier for me to get my, well, let me tell you something. God, what was the guy's name? Greg Holland. There was a consultant, a talk radio guy, and he consulted Rush in the early days in Sacramento, and it really inspired Rush. And one of the things that Rush said in private to radio people, not over the air, was it Greg Holland? God dang it. I can't remember who it was. My mind, dude, getting old sucks. But this consultant told him the people are not tuning in to hear anybody other than you.
Yeah.
So don't bring on guests.
That's
what's crazy? What's crazy?
Not have guests.
I tend to disagree with that. I love Rush and everything, but I use the Rick Dees formality, and this is why the man is still successful and have 1,300 stations globally right this day. Weekly. He always said, it's not about you, it's about the audience.
No, I understand that, but
you communicate with the audience.
But the audience
really matters.
In to hear the audience.
Because I'm telling you,
right.
My YouTube channel,
not your audience.
It took off
when you started taking calls.
When I started doing this Calling with Vin show. It took off.
Well, CharLee, one of the reasons why
I had 600 subscribers at one point on YouTube only.
Mike
now,
has
brother. Ever since I started doing this, I'm hitting well over 2,000.
Well,
the
part of the reason
going up,
Vin, part of the reason that is because A, you're a podcast, not a talk radio station.
Exactly.
And podcasts do not take calls, so that's different. And B, it's different.
That's weird because your boy Tom likes to take
and podcasters don't take calls, and it's different. And the audience will always go to different. Now, if you were on the radio, if you're on talk radio on an AM radio station, and you're taking calls and you're telling your audience, by the way, the phone lines are open, Call me now at 366-6666. Call me now. You'll be saying that for 3 hours and nobody's going to call.
That's
the reality of it.
Yeah, that's how it is now. Yeah.
What you're doing is unique on podcast. On talk radio, that's not unique.
Yeah.
I'll never forget one time I heard
when people tune in to even your podcast. I disagree with your theory here. They're not tuning in to hear other callers. They're tuning in to hear you. They're not tuning in to hear the audience. Yes, everything you do should be to please your audience. This is true.
Absolutely.
However, the reason people tune in is not to listen to your audience.
That's true, Jazz. You got a point there, my brother.
They tune in to listen to you. They tuned in to listen to Rush. They tuned in to listen to CharLee. They tuned in to listen to Mike. They'll tune in to listen to me. So,
Mike,
that's what they're there for. They're not there for your guests. They're not there to hear the city councilman talk about the new water bill that's coming.
You're not going to do it. Not going to do it.
Tuning in to hear Congressman Dickweed talk about Weed to come on and talk about how he's going to do all this stuff, but he's not really going to do it. He's just going to lie to your audience. You know, that they don't tune in to listen to that. They don't tune in.
You're right. You're right. They listen for my banter. You're right.
You know, here's the thing. CharLee, did you do mornings? You do mornings?
Almost exclusively. Yeah.
Okay. When you were doing mornings, CharLee, can I ask you a question? Do you ever have a psychic on?
No, I hate that crap.
Okay.
Even before I got saved, I hated that crap.
I used to have psychics on, and I stopped doing it. But the thing of it is, if you have psychics on your show, you know what happens?
Your ratings went crazy. Your phones went crazy. Yes, I know.
Phone lines go crazy.
I always had people telling me, "Oh, you should do this. This other morning show's doing it. It's the biggest day they have."
The phone lines go crazy. And the thing of it is, and you're right. Your consultant or your PD or APD will tell you, we want those phones to ring. We want you to take as many calls as possible. Why? Because it gives the impression to the audience that you've got a bigger audience than you really do.
True.
Okay. Why do you put bumper stickers on cars?
To promote.
Why do radio stations put bumper stickers on cars? They don't put bumper stickers.
So the car behind you would go, "Oh, I'm going to check out that station."
Yeah.
The car behind you will see a bumper sticker on your car, and over there's another one, and down there's another one. That must be the most popular radio station in town. I should probably listen to it because people are sheep. People are sheep, and they will follow other people, and that's what the radio business is, always has been. But the thing of it is, if you do things straight and honest, you'll be amazed at how big your audience will be.
That's true.
You are not building your audience with a psychic. You're just getting a lot of phone calls.
Hey. You know what's a lot of fun? What's to replace the phone calls, Jazz? And it's much more immediate than ever before because the phone rings and rings and rings, and they have to wait for you to pick it up and decide if you're going to put them on the air or not after you get to the phone screen or so on and so forth. Yeah. It's chat rooms. And I've been on Ben's show, and I've watched the chat room. I've been with Mike Cook on his show, in the chat room, and they start having their own conversations going on.
They have to, because we can't follow them, because yours is going here, and I'm looking over and looking at what they're saying occasionally here. But the fact is that when you go and you sign on to one of those with like 50,000 listeners or viewers, you can't follow the chat. It's going by
so fast. Oh man, it's flying by so fast.
You couldn't look at that. Now they can follow it. But you've got to talk. So you don't really get a chance to follow it when it's a big show.
That's when it builds like a family. And that's what I miss about a radio show. Exactly. And so I want to start doing if I start, and Ben has told me 2,800 times, you better be going live same day, same time, and be consistent. And Mike Cook has preached the same thing. Yep. Mike has built thousands, tens of thousands of people who watch him every day, hundreds of thousands, and it's all because he's consistent.
But I'd take it if they do come.
Every day he's on at 8 a.m. Central Time, right?
That's my problem is I can't do it. I can't be consistent. I'll go on, I'll do, and my Facebook Live is when I feel like it, and I'll grab the phone and I got an idea.
I flush Facebook. I don't do
one
Facebook
line
anymore.
I could either type it out or I could just hit the button and tell them.
Hey, live. Jazz, I caught you live on X one time, man, and I tell you, that was one heck of a rant that you did.
Oh, you know what that was? That wasn't me live. That was me taking Facebook, because I was live on Facebook, and I downloaded it and I posted it.
Oh,
I posted it on X. You like that? Was that good?
Yeah, that was good.
I go live on Rumble and on X because YouTube has kicked me off. Facebook sucks.
Oh, yeah.
So Rumble and X is one of my biggest. So I would do my show and I get like 700 views total. Like in 3 days, you go back and look, 700 views, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I moved over. I had like 300 followers on Rumble. I gave for like 2 weeks. I announced I am no longer going to be on Facebook after this date. I'm going to be on Rumble. Within a month, I had 3,000 viewers,
Wow.
3,000 subscribers. Where'd they all come from?
I'll
tell you, Facebook was lying. I had way more people watching me than 700 on Facebook.
Right.
They were skewing the numbers.
And they do that.
Because you see, you can't self-monetize.
That's
They won't
right.
monetize you. You can't self-monetize you unless you got a provable audience.
And what bothers me about Facebook, and not to change the subject, but it's a big deal to me, because we talk about fake shit, are the scams that they allow to operate.
Yes.
The
Yes.
scammers that they allow, the spammers and the scams that they allow them to operate. They will pay Facebook to whatever, get the blue check mark, whatever it is that they get. And then they are scamming people. And
Absolutely.
I'm like, how do they get away with it? Doesn't anybody care? You know, some chick wants to send you, wants you to join her in a private chat where she's going to show her tits. And I'm sorry, but that ain't, don't they kick people off for that? No, apparently they don't. They used to. And Bitcoin. How many fuckers are trying to sell you Bitcoin on all social media? But Facebook, they don't get rid of them at all. Yeah, and the click.
Hey guys, I got to tell you this. There's a platform that I use. I use Getter.
Yeah, I haven't done all the. I haven't done the Telegram or Getter or any of that.
Let me tell you, Jazz, you're right, because people message me on the Getter platform, and they always say, "Dude, we love your banter. Your monologues are crazy, but on point." I get more views on Getter than I do on X. That's
I've never used Getter.
It's crazy.
You know what? Why I haven't switched to another? Why I don't even split my audience even more than I have with X and others is because Rumble's paying me.
There you go.
Rumble's monetizing.
Not well, not very much.
Are you kidding? My last check was $1,700.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Hey,
Wow.
Mike is right. Mike is right.
Mine was $77.
I received a $900 check.
Mine was 3.5 cents. I get 3.5 cents.
Might begin like that, but here's what I'm saying. I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, go to this platform, go to that." Why the hell would I do that? Split my audience up? No.
Well, you know what?
I disagree on this. If you could, it would be nice if there was a, if you could like share shit on an automatic. You go to the settings, right, on Facebook or Getter or whatever. You go to the settings and you put, here's my X account. You put that in. Here's my Getter account. Here's my YouTube account. Here's my Rumble account. And everything that you post, video wise anyway, everything you post on video goes to all of them at the same time.
They have an app for that.
They do.
Do they really?
Yes.
StreamYard will do it.
Yeah,
That's what I use.
StreamYard.
Everybody complains about the price, but I can go to 10 separate places on StreamYard if I wanted to.
Okay.
Restream now. Restream also now 10.
Yeah, I'm using
How much are you paying for Restream though?
Platforms.
Restream, if you use the freebie like I do, you only get 2 platforms. But
Right.
if you pay, you get a whole lot more, and you can go live on 10 different platforms all at the same time. But you know what? Mike Cook has a great point.
Okay.
Why not just go where, because Rumble is growing, YouTube is the king right now. YouTube is owned by Google. They have the money. They pay the most money. That's why so many conservatives play their little games and change their little language so they can stay on YouTube.
And they kick me off.
Yeah, exactly.
Me too.
Check this out, though, guys. Rumble is great. That's why I say get it while the getting's good on Rumble. But you have to remember, there are techno bros like Peter Thiel that have a big investment in Rumble. And once they pull everybody over, trust you me, things will change.
It's going to change. You think so?
Change, I'll change. It ain't a problem.
You think so?
See, my monetization for the longest time was myself. I sold my product on there. That's where majority of my income came from, because my mentor, not in this business, but in selling stuff, he says you create, you don't become the Rumble guy.
You become your own
and
guy.
you build yourself, whatever that is. Patriot Mike Show. It doesn't matter where I go. Rumble guys is screwing up. I'm moving over to Getter. I'm moving over to whatever comes along, and my audience will follow me. I've already proved it.
Yep.
So
hey, guess what? And Mike, you're right. I sell this merch, I make my money.
That's right. I sold a product. Here's what I did. So I met another guy when I was down there with that guy from the Tea Party, and it was his name was Doug. His radio show is called the Frog News Network. Ooh. He had like 50,000 followers. And he died of the Rona. They killed him in the hospital.
Of course they did.
But anyways, I saw him, and he was in one of them network marketing things, and he held up the box and he said, "Would you buy my stuff?" And then played the corporate commercial or whatever. And I'm watching him on Facebook rank up in this company, and I'm going, "Same, my wife's in one of those things. I wonder what would happen." And I've been taking this product, and it helped me. And I held it up and said, "Would you buy my product?" I ended up making about $3,000 a month from that. And I was like,
"Hey, Mike, doesn't it feel good to be an entrepreneur?"
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I can't even get people to go to mypillow.com/Lee. I can't even get them to go. I keep getting every month. I get my little report from MyPillow. Here's how many people bought because you told them to. Zero.
Yeah.
It's been that way from the beginning. I'm like, what the heck?
Charlie, call me or something later on. Because I'll talk to you about that, because I think I've figured that out too. So
good to know. Okay.
Hey,
speaking of merchandise, check out Jazz.
Hey, Mike.
Mike, we need to have a logo. I got my merch.
There you got your merch, but hey, that beer's the wrong color now, Jazz.
Hey, Mike, you and we all need to have a conference call.
I would love that.
I thought that's what we were doing.
I thought that's
but
what
this is live over the air. I can't give you my secrets.
We can't talk. We can't talk over the air about the things that we need to
do. You gotta watch out though. Any minute now, Vin's gonna forget he's on. He's gonna go to look at porn. And
no way. No way.
Then he's
Vin does that.
I don't dig that.
That's not Vin. That would be Charlie.
Actually, I thought that was Jeffrey Toobin.
Do it, Jeffrey Toobin.
Toobin. You've been tubing.
He's going tubing.
He's going tubing. We should do a thing. Mike, it sounds like, has got the right, and Vin have the right idea, Charlie. Maybe we need, you and I and Mike and Vin need to talk off the air and away from the prying eyes of.
If you've got time right now, I'll tell you what. I'll end this stream right now, and I will bid you all a fond farewell, and we'll continue. But I did want to give you the opportunity to promote your stuff right now, Mike. Where do we find you? How do we follow you?
You've Patriot Mike Show, X, Facebook, everywhere. Patriot Mike Show, PatriotMikeShow.com, whatever. Patriot Mike Show.
Patriot Mike.
Yeah, Patriot Mike Show. It'll come up on Rumble as Patriot Mike Show too.
Hey, Patriot Mike Show and I follow each other on Rumble already.
Yeah.
And Jazz or Vin, where do we find you? How do we follow along?
Just look up Vin Dog Radio Live. I'm everywhere.
Yep.
I'm everywhere. Okay, how about Pookie? By the way, is in the chat room. I'm always glad to see him.
Hey, he's one of my moderators. He's one of my managing moderators.
Would be wiener since his wife is banging. Oh, okay. Thanks, Pookie. We'll keep that off the air. So, Jazz, how do we find you? I started to read it, and I went,
He's talking about Anthony Weiner. Anthony
Weiner. YouTube.
Jazz, hang on.
He's talking about that post is about Anthony Weiner and Uma. And Uma's getting married to Soros Jr.
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, Alexander Soros.
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
She's marrying the little
cousin Pookie. I'll call you in a little bit, bro.
Okay, Jazz, go ahead. I'm sorry, Jazz. How do we find you? How do we get one of those cool hats?
Oh, well, you go to Amazon and order one. Deplorable Jazz on X, Facebook, Rumble, And don't forget the Icons of Outlaw Country. If you like country music that is not about sitting in a truck drinking beer with your girlfriend who's got hot short pants on and shit, and you like stuff that has a little bit of substance to it and doesn't have any auto-tune, if you like real country music, look it up. www.theiconsofoutlawcountry.com. Theiconsofoutlawcountry.com under the pseudonym John Wesley Carson.
Oh, say it again.
Jazz, by the way, is 1Z. 1Z.
1Z. J-A-Z. I'm different. See what I told you about? I'm different.
I'm different. Yeah. And I'm CharLee Simons. Spell my name CharLee because I'm different. No, actually, because my middle name's Lee. I'm Charles Lee. So CharLeeSimons.com. CharLeeSimons.com. If you can help me financially, that would be great. Vin he's got some gas problems going on there. Thank you very much, though, for sharing, liking, following the channel. All of us, if you follow, that really helps us get out, and sharing the shows, that does too, because frankly, we have an internet that seems dead set against people like us.
Boy, howdy.
So that's how you can help. CharLee Simons.
How many times did we drop off today? About 4?
I know. Yeah. CharLeeSimons.com. Thank you very much. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America bless God.
Amen.
Hooah. All right. I'm going to end the stream.